energy drinks.
Red Sox are now 3-3 on their West Coast road trip after a 9-5 loss in San Francisco last night. The Giants scored 4 times off the bullpen in the bottom of the 7th inning to take the lead for good, and Elliot Ramos drove in 4 runs to lead the home team. Rafael Devers was 1 for 3 as the DH. He finished up 2 for 12 with a homer in the 3 games against his former team. The Red Sox will open up a 3-game series with the Angels late tonight. The team has also placed Hunter Dobbins on the injured list with an elbow strain and called up pitcher Richard Fitz. The Thunder won their first NBA championship since the franchises moved to Oklahoma City last night. They beat Indiana in Game 7 of the Finals, 103-91. League MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 29 points and 12 assists, and he was voted the Finals MVP as well.
A lot of hard work, a lot of hours in the gym. This isn't just a win for me. This is a win for my family. This is a win for my friends. This is a win for everybody that was in my corner growing up. This is a win for the fans, the best fans in the world. Love you guys.
Pacers star Tyrese Halliburton left in the first quarter with an Achilles injury and did not return. The other big NBA story yesterday was that Phoenix traded Kevin Durant to Houston for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the 10th overall pick in the draft on Wednesday night, and 5 second-round picks. Durant is entering the final year of his contract. And in golf, Keegan Bradley rolled in a 6-foot birdie putt on 18 to win the Travelers Championship by 1 shot. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Here we go.
Boom. I win. Boom.
Yeah. Hit somebody.
We've got a passion for Boston sports.
Get angry.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
When has that been necessary to fact check?
and Hardy
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
on 98.5.
Hey there.
Sarge GPT moving up.
Let me hear you say, boo, boo, boo.
Crush me, mommy.
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope.
I'm a goddamn drag.
Yeah, good luck, dude.
Nothing like a good tushy.
I love you. And I think you know that. Excuse me?
Toucher and Hardy
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fun. Having some fun.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
Oh, wow. He's somewhat of a silver bear.
He's a hairy bear.
The hairier, the more bear.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy, Tom Fair Tire Studios. If you would like to, you can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and see us sitting in here, which is exciting to say the least. 617-779-0985. You'll notice I have, if you look on YouTube, you'll notice I have a beautiful, beautiful tan. I was out in Leominster, Worcester, Northborough all weekend, and enjoyed all those places. You ever heard of Clark University in Worcester?
Oh, yes. I know exactly where that is.
The world's famous.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area.
How's the neighborhood around it? Not good?
Beautiful.
As bad as you might think it is, it was about 10 times worse when I applied there when I was a kid.
You applied to Clark University?
I did.
Well, I mean, all
got
you have to
in.
do is do a campus tour and you'll see.
It was.
What, did you have horrible SATs or something?
Yeah, my SATs were under 1,100, so yes.
Okay. So you were now, would you have ever gone to Clark University?
Probably not.
Because
it's so long ago.
It's a safety
not.
school.
Probably, yes.
because
I remember it.
I don't know if it's. Can't imagine the area is worse than it was at all.
Oh, it's 10 times worse than it was.
You don't know that. Worcester, it's not in downtown Worcester.
I know that. I've been to the area recently. I've
For
been around
what?
Clark University. Went to a Woo Sox game, and a buddy of mine lives in Worcester. Not there, but within a mile of there.
Okay. Because it's not very good.
No, it's not.
I don't know how it could have been worse.
It was
The
much worse.
houses certainly aren't new.
No.
Those houses were still there. Or I should say buildings.
I'm guessing. I'm
giving that a once over, I'm not knowing if anything's been developed there in the last 20 years, John.
I'm telling you.
No, because downtown Worcester is, I'm sure, markedly different. That area is not anywhere near downtown Worcester.
Mm-hmm.
And those buildings have not been built in 20 years. The signage might be different, but the building is the same. Go run an analysis report, Hardy, about when that stuff was built.
Sure, I'll get on that, but I'm trying to envision the downtown area of where you were. I'm guessing dining options include like a Subway attached to a gas station, things of that nature.
I couldn't read the signs because they were in languages I could speak.
Oh.
Yes, they were not in language I could speak. There was a pollo restaurant, and there was a restaurant that was
that's
just
chicken.
So yeah, I knew that, and there was a restaurant that was some sort of East Asian kind of situation. I don't know what particular language it was, but it was.
Those are tougher.
It was represented in that way. There was a Dunkin' Donuts a mile from there that was connected to a gas station that was connected to a laundromat.
Bingo. There you go.
Yeah, you had a laundromat you had a laundromat, not gas station, laundromat, mini mart, Dunkin' Donuts, all connected.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and at 8 in the morning on a Sunday, the laundromat was cooking. It was cooking with gas.
Right.
But they made it. I guess there was rain. I left my roof off my car on Saturday night, and I guess there was rain. So I got my parents and my son, yeehaw, parents and son, down there to Worcester, and we were supposed to be at the game an hour and 15 minutes early, but we were there 2 hours early because I didn't know they moved the game. Oh. And then I was like, oh, there must be something to do. Oh, no. There was nothing to do.
No botanical gardens to take in, no museums.
Well, I was going to take my mom to Natick Mall because I had so much time to kill because my dad just got out of the car because he saw a baseball park and it was going to take him 6 years to walk there anyway, so he might as well have just gotten started. But the Natick Mall didn't open until 11. So I figured, oh, no. And so I sat at that ballpark from 8:30 in the morning till, 2:30 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there was in Leominster, which is far away.
Mm-hmm.
And not like cute far away, like far away. Leominster's far away. In fact, there was a real football game going on with pads and everything on the football field that was next to where my son's team was playing. And a guy goes, Fred. And I go, yeah. And he goes, what the F are you doing in Leominster? And I said, that's a good question.
That's an excellent question. Now, the padded football game going on.
Yeah.
Like what age? I mean, there's high school kids, or because that seems a strange time of year to be playing.
It was high school kids, and it's funny because my son, this is the power of like TikTok. My son said, hey, that kid goes to Leominster High School. He's the quarterback. He's a 3-star. He's going to Coastal Carolina. Like he just saw him like working out, saw him like with no pads on, knew that was the kid. And I'm like, oh. And then all of a sudden during my son's game, my son pitches, so when he's done, it's like whatever. I don't care really. And then so I start walking around and I hear these introductions, like they're introducing all these kids, and it looked like big kids with they all had uniforms on but different helmets. But I didn't know you were allowed, and it wasn't 7-on-7. It was a full game. And I didn't know you could do that in the summer, that you could have like organized tackle football. There was like a PA announcer, there was like a fairly large crowd. I don't know what it was. And it wasn't like semi-pro because I don't think they'd have different helmets on. It was almost like it was an all-star game or something.
Okay. There used to be, and based on the age, I don't know what you were watching or what was going on.
It wasn't little kids.
Have you ever seen this, like the semi-pro tackle football going on, like anywhere around your house or anything?
No.
There used to be a group that practiced next door to my daughter's fields when she was playing lacrosse. This is 6-7 years ago, something. And the guys coming out to play that like adult tackle padded football. These are not guys you want to cross.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
These were some rough customers showing up for those practices.
Yeah, it's like people that didn't have enough money to go to rugby school. So like the people that would normally be playing rugby, they just stole their pads from high school and decided that they were going to start doing that.
Like, you're coming out here for like drills and hitting guys. Oh, because you like hitting people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's entirely what it is.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, take the field. We were done anyway.
Yeah, it
Let me
might
get those cones out of your way.
The only reason I think it couldn't have been semi-pro, and it could have been, obviously, I don't know, is that the amount of crowd that was there, and that there was like a PA announcer, and everyone seemed kind of big, like not fat, right? Like it's semi-pro football. I would guess the linemen are just fat, like fat drunks. And then, you got like little guys, like, you know what I'm saying? These were like big kids. Like, I don't know. They had helmets on. I couldn't tell. And I didn't pay that much attention to them.
Whatever I was watching, I wouldn't describe them as fat drunks. I would describe them as recently released.
Yeah, which would be okay. And then in 3 months, they'll be fat drunks. I mean, yeah, they might have been yoked from jail, but then that wears off. Yeah, that jail body is very hard to maintain on the outside.
Well,
no, you're not.
You don't have the time.
Well, you got a lot more to do than be in the yard. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
So you had your parents with you the whole time? Are they still here?
Yeah, they're here.
Where are they?
Well, my son has a game at 8 today in Northborough. So they will 8 a.m. So they'll be going there. Good luck. I would like to see how that all turns out because my son's supposed to be driving himself. My parents are supposed to be going to the game by themselves, and my ex-wife's supposed to be going to the game by herself.
At least that'll be an easy one. You're going against the traffic out to Northborough at 8 o'clock.
Oh, well, it's interesting you mentioned that because I made that same point in the car coming back from the game in Worcester. And something we've noticed about my father now that has always been around, but finally it's been local, is my father can't let any statement sit.
I have that same problem with my dad.
Nothing, statement, as benign a statement as there possibly could be, just can't sit there. It needs the Fred Toucher Jr. seal of approval. It needs to be critiqued.
Well, let's try it.
It's like a hypothesis by the scientific community.
I'll be you be your father.
Every week.
Okay?
Okay.
Well, when you guys are driving out this way on Monday, it'll be easy because there won't be any traffic coming the other direction.
Yeah, you figure Monday morning. Yeah, but it's early, Probably not.
That's what I just said.
No, but I had to, agree with it. I had to say something about it.
I thought there would be like, well, I don't know, because a lot of people on Mondays now are and he would have some kind of opposition to whatever.
No, there's a lot. There will be opposition as well, but it's just you don't understand when this is happening. Once a minute, it's either he approves or disagrees, but he will explain both. It's unnecessary to go for my father that lives in Knoxville, Tennessee, that's never, ever, ever one time driven west on 90 at 7 o'clock in the morning. He's never done it one time in his life. He would have absolutely no idea how to do it. His approval or his thing, you don't understand. It wasn't a quiet car and then that happened. It's a series of things. We talked about the popularity of Tucker Carlson. I mean, that was something.
Is he a fan?
It depends on what you're saying. Now, I'll give you an example. Is that my son, to rile him up, asked about what was going on in Iran. And I said, well, there are people that are big supporters of his that are torn on this because they thought they were promised that he was going to be an isolationist. And my dad's like, that's not true. And I'm like, well, Tucker Carlson's one of them. And he goes, oh, well, no one cares about Tucker Carlson. I go, no one cares about... You cared about Tucker Carlson until I just said that. No one cares about Tucker Carlson. He's your guy. Your guy. Not my guy, your guy. Like everything. And then he's like, well, I don't want to get into it. It's like, oh. And then I said to him, when you retire, like, do you touch your the like amount of money that you had when you retired? Like, do you touch that, or do you live off of that? And he's like, live off of it. And he's like, oh yeah, you want to live off of it? And I said, well, what percentage would you say you live off of it? He goes, oh, Freddie, I can't do it like that. And I mean, you can't dumb it down that much. He's like, well, I'm in gold and I'm trying to mitigate that. And I'm like, you can't even answer. Like, what would you guess, Dad? Like, what would you guess in a normal year is the amount of money that generates where you don't have to take anything out of it? It's a fairly simple question. You can even just say nothing. You could just make up something or say you don't know. But it's the fact that it's way too complicated a concept for me to get my hands around. I mean, you go to any financial manager and they can just go like, yeah, you'll want this amount of money when you retire because conceivably it will make this much in the market every year, and that's the money that you'll want to be living off of. Yeah. And you'll get more. And he's like, well, we're much more conservative now. I go, yes, you're 83. I understand that you're very conservative. Like, I get it. What do you live off of? But he still gets that, what do you call it after you retire and they pay you? The
Social Security?
No.
A pension.
He gets a pension. He got $50,000 pension.
What?
Yeah,
From an ad agency?
He's 83 years old. I mean, the ad agency, I mean, that was what they did. The 401k wasn't a thing. When your dad and my dad were working, if you had a white collar job and you didn't get a 401k, that's a ripoff.
Yeah, come to think about it, my dad may have gotten one too because he was Yellow Page salesman, but he worked for. Here's a phrase that's good. But did you guys have Mass Bell here? It was Michigan Bell.
Yeah, no. Michigan Bell. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so it was Ma Bell before they broke up and they were all like separated. So I bet he did because I think he was in a union. Yeah, he probably got a pension.
Yeah, well, your retirement plan when you worked used to be a pension, and that they would agree to pay you a certain amount of money for the rest of your life, and that was the way it was. And then they stopped doing that, and then the government started 401ks to, goose the economy,
right,
and get everyone investing, and then they would match, and then the companies even said, "Oh, you know what? We're not matching. That would be insane to give you any retirement money." And so that has all gone by the wayside. Yeah, our generation's retirement, not so great. And I would strongly suggest that no one in this listening audience, unless you've already retired, be banking on any type of Social Security income, because that seems to be long gone by the time that we have retired, unless you're retiring very soon. But yeah, they're in town till tomorrow, and it was a party, man, a party. Falling down and just walking slow, and just all kinds of stuff, like having fun, just walking. Their flight they flew from Tennessee to Philadelphia, and then they canceled their flight to Boston. And my parents didn't want to miss my daughter's 8th grade graduation on Friday, so they rented a car and drove up from Philadelphia to Boston.
Ooh. Oh, nice.
But then they don't know how to work the internet. So, I think they could have gotten on another flight if they had, like, their phones on the internet. Like, I don't think it would have happened to me. I would have gotten on another flight because I would have gotten the alert and been working on the plane. Then they rented a car, but then they had to take it to Logan Airport, because they had rented another car, and they said that I'll say what it was. It was budget rent-a-car. They said budget rent-a-car, and I find this very hard to believe. But my parents called and said, we're going to be a little late picking the car up because, we didn't get on our flight, which I don't even know why they did that. Again, I don't know why they did that, but they called and the person said, okay, that's a $75 fee for not picking up your car on time. And the logic of that would be, if I picked up my car on time, you wouldn't have it anyway. So what is it to you? Why would I pay a fine for not picking up my car a few hours late? So this is the kind of thing. I think they hear old lady on the phone and then they get a little rascally. But I told you, be careful in these travel companies who you talk to on the phone, because there must be some kind of incentive program where they can get you to do something dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not lying to you. I told you I was booking that United ticket for a friend of mine, trying to change the flight, New York to Boston. And the guy said that the only thing I can do is $1,100. And I went, okay. And I got on the computer and I changed it for like $50. And then I went through the whole process with the guy. And then when he goes, it was time to pay, I said, oh, no. 10 minutes ago, I booked one for $50. That changed for $50. And he just goes, oh, and hung up. So that was great. So I got that. I got to stay on the phone with him for 10 more minutes. But, yeah, they're in town
Did you
today.
make it? Well, you made a friend.
I did. I realized don't deal with that airline. Don't use that airline anymore. But they'll be here today. And, yesterday we went to that game. We were there for 8 hours. Then we went to my ex-wife's house and stayed outside for a barbecue. It was heaven on earth. Heaven on earth.
Good times.
How long are they here till?
They leave tomorrow morning.
All right.
But if my son wins today, he could have up to 3 games tomorrow in Northborough. And then we're off to Hoover, Alabama.
Cool.
On Saturday.
During the summer. Be awesome.
Well, during the summer here, I hope it's just as nice as it was yesterday. So I'll have that going. So it's a lot of fun. All right. We'll be back in just a moment.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub. This is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, the Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened. So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. Hardy, what happened last night? Historical stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get to what's going on in the Middle East then. How much time did you want to spend talking about that this morning?
It's just whenever my dad can come on.
Okay. Can he come in? It would be better to have him in studio.
I mean, is the elevator working? Then you could get him in by the time he arrives till he gets here. You just need 45 minutes.
Okay. Record heat waves. The founder of FedEx died, and it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals last night in Oklahoma City. Now, before the game, Pacers coach Rick Carlisle all put off by a certain situation.
I just saw a video that's probably going to go viral of some buses, open-top buses, presumably for their parade, that are already painted with them as champions. So that's all I'm thinking about right now.
That's all he could be thinking about.
Ooh, motivation.
Can't be doing that.
Bulletin board material.
Can't be planning for the future.
NBA champions, world champions, buses all decorated, ready to go out there on the concourse, ready to roll.
Slap in the face, Fred. That's what that was.
Well, that's
slap in the face.
I mean, it's I mean, obviously he's trying to, get this motivation thing going. But the thing is that, this happens all the time now. We found like they were planning a parade route. Yeah. Like they're going to throw a parade in 3 days. There's like 50%. Say there's a 50% chance they have to throw a parade in 3 days. Yeah, they got to plan it. Like, what do you want them to do? Go in? It's contingency. Like, yeah, if we win, we need to have this done and figure out what we're doing.
We're going to hold the meeting till 1 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. Like the minute, and then once Vegas pays its bets out, then we'll know it's time.
Right.
It's so funny. Like, yeah, we painted the buses now, and you know what? If they lose, then we'll have to repaint them. But the thing is that we figured we'd do it now.
And I painted their decals. You just rip the stickers off, and you get on with your lives.
It's a big wrap, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I'm sure it's
a big
a
wrap.
I mean, it's just it happens. It seems to happen once a year in some major sport that someone's incredulous that there was planning, and it's like, well, government runs so efficiently that, yeah, you should probably wait until 12 hours before the whole thing to get it started.
That's all I'm thinking about right now.
Well, soon enough, Rick Carlisle would have something else to think about 7 minutes into the first quarter.
Halliburton falls down. He looks hurt. Here comes SGA the other way. Inside, and Williams throws it down. Halliburton's hurt right away when he fell. Was that strained calf. He's in pain, so emotional. It's the right calf right away. He knew he was in trouble. Oh, you get in a situation like this, you're just sick to your stomach for the young man.
Eerily similar to Jason Tatum's injury. As soon as Halliburton went down, started pounding the court, you knew he wasn't getting up.
Same thing. Change your directions real quick. And he pushed off, and the Achilles went. You could see the calf, jump. It was weird. It's kind of like the Durant thing from the finals a few years ago.
Well, yeah, he ripped his Achilles. Did you see Brian Windhorst after the game? Emotional. Brian Windhorst.
No.
Emotional.
I missed that.
Yeah, he's like, it's hard. He's like, no, I'm not taking anything away from Oklahoma City, but then he began to take things away.
Sure.
And he goes, I've never felt this devastated by he was really he acted like he died. Jeez. It acted like they were brothers and he died. Not only that he died, that he's brothers and he died. He was really invested in the health of Tyrese Halliburton. Yeah, he was beside himself. I heard that on the way in.
Well, the game was tied at that point. It was early. It was 16-16, and the Pacers did not lay down after that.
Out to Neesmith, who continues to shoot it brilliantly from three-point range. 50% during the playoffs, and that ties the game at 32.
They would take a lead into the locker room at halftime, a 1-point lead. And let me tell you something. I was watching that cash-out option because I took the Pacers before the start of the series. Plus 540 I got them at. I'm like, man, it's obviously not full payout money, but it's It's a nice chunk. I could have doubled my investment. Why don't we just hang on to this one? What could possibly go wrong?
Shea, step back, cranks an angle right three of his own. Looks good. It is. Cha-ching it under Moneyball. The MVP laces the long-range hit. Gildas Alexander with 19. Thunder back up 3.
Again, indulging in a man's madness.
Oh, you want to
just indulging his incredible OCD.
You know what? I'm not sure which is worse, the Thunder Moneyball or lacing a long-range hit. I'm not sure which call is
What's
worse.
worse is that they're enabling his OCD by just allowing him to go on and on and on and on and on with the Thunder money, but 3 cha-ching, another Thunder Moneyball. Because let's see, they had 11 threes yesterday, so 11 times he had to go cha-ching another.
Shovels left wing dub, open, strokes a 3, in and out, and back in again. Cha-ching it under Moneyball. Timeout, Pacers. Let them hear it, Loud City.
What do they call themselves? Loud City?
Yeah. Loud City. Loud City.
I think he just said, let him hear it now, City.
No, I thought he said loud.
Shovels left wing dub, open, strokes a 3, in and out, and back in again. Cha-ching it under Moneyball. Timeout, Pacers. Let them hear it, Loud City.
Yeah, that's
Loud City?
Loud City.
Ugh.
Well, everyone knows it's quite noisy. You can hear those skeeters.
Well, everything's so
20
flat
paces
out
away.
there. Just the sound travels just so far.
Well, what a boom for Oklahoma City, too, because I imagine this to be the new Riviera. I imagine businesses by the dozens going, what's the deal with this Oklahoma City I hear so much about?
Yeah. Which 3-story building can we move our company into?
Yeah.
Well, things would continue in that fashion. A lot of points off of turnovers as the Pacers couldn't handle the ball, and it became painfully obvious in the waning minutes.
Thunder fans feel this moment. The uncommon young team proves to be unstoppable. It's over at Paycom Center. Final in Game 7. The Thunder 103, the Pacers 91. A dream realized. The storybook season is complete. The final chapter reads, the Oklahoma City Thunder are the 2025 NBA champions.
I mean, just taking it in text, that's not a bad final call. Except you could tell he had rehearsed it so many times.
No kidding.
It'd be funny if he got hit by a bus today.
What are the championship buses?
I was just going to say.
Yeah, just walked down the street and he's like, remember that? And then and then it wasn't even in the paper. That's how insignificant he was. It didn't even matter to anyone.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, your MVP. Your league MVP, the top scorer. Let's see, the short list of guys who have the scoring title, the league MVP, finals MVP. It's Jordan.
Right.
It's Kareem, I think, was another one. I mean, it's a very, very short list. He is the 4th guy.
Did Durant do it? I'm trying to think.
I'll double check, but
Yeah.
let's hear from SGA.
The fun I had tonight, the moment was amazing. The fans were amazing. And it was so much fun. Exactly what I expected.
There you go. So the Oklahoma City Thunder are champions of the world.
And I don't know anyone who cared. I was in a car with my parents and my son for a long time yesterday, and they had a guy on the radio talking about the game. And I came to realize that out of the 4 people in the car, no one cared. People represented all age groups, all places in the nation, all pretty much sports fans, and no one cared. They cared more about the Travelers Championship final than they did the NBA final.
Well, we'll get to that. Okay, so Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Jordan did it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
These hooks got me running, see me coming from afar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. These hooks got them running, see me coming from afar. See?
Let him go.
Well, I didn't make it up. That's Dave.
L.A. Lakers, fast break
Little
makers.
Dicky. That's Little
Kings
Dicky.
of the short, shake and bake, no takers.
Back to back
is a badass fact. A fact that remains
intact.
L.A.
That song stands up today.
All right, let's hear Brian Windhorst, Fred. See if this lives up to your hype.
I'm going to have a complicated memory of tonight. And yet, I feel sick, and I'm not recovered from seeing the slow motion of his calf.
Jesus.
No, I'm sorry, guys. I overstated it.
Oh my God.
I take back everything. must have misremembered.
I feel like I might have to poo.
From seeing the slow motion of his calf. I'm thinking if they had Halliburton.
I'm thinking if I had 2 more donuts, I'd really get over the top and be able to sing soprano for real.
I feel sick, and I'm not recovered from seeing the slow motion of his calf. I'm thinking if they had Halliburton, that this is going to go down to it. I hate it when anybody puts an asterisk on this, but this is one, I don't know in 23 years if I've ever felt more personally affected by seeing something on the court.
Why do you think that is?
I hate when people say asterisks. So, you and I are even there.
But I hate when people say asterisk, but here I go putting one on it.
Somebody puts an asterisk on this.
Asterisk. Brian, you're a wordsmith, aren't you? He still writes, doesn't he?
Somebody puts an asterisk on this.
Just when you thought he'd shed his baby Huey personality.
Did you see? Okay, do you know on Stern High Pitch Eric, right?
Yeah.
Well, apparently he had some kind of operation where he lost a lot of weight, and he doesn't talk like that anymore. He talks like in a kind of normal voice now. That's a complete illustration of what I've always said about Brian Windhorst.
There's like something in his throat from the extra girth affecting the vocal
something
cords?
that happens hormonally, something that goes on in men when they get heavy, like they're heavy from like an early age, and then they stay real. There's a certain kind of heavy, like it's a certain way it manifests itself, and it can sometimes put you in like a purgatory of puberty. And when I heard High Pitch Eric that he talks normally now, I went, oh, that's what happened. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And I have been talking about this whole time, is that there are guys that have ate themselves into this purgatory, this hormonal purgatory. And that is my opinion on Brian Windhorst. Thank you very much.
No, that's a valid opinion. All right, so we have Red Sox to get to from yesterday, the final round of the Travelers Championship, which is one of those strange circumstances, kind of like the final round of the Masters, where I guess maybe just nothing else was on. A lot of people ended up watching the final few holes anyway from Cromwell, Connecticut yesterday, so we'll get to what happened there, and of course, what happened with Kevin Durant over the weekend. So all that'll be coming up here in a moment.
Hello. We'll be right back.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox lost in San Francisco yesterday 9-5. Romy Gonzalez's error in the 7th inning opened up the door for a 4-run rally for the home team that put them in front for good. This 9-game road trip for the Sox continues against the Angels tonight. Sox also placed Hunter Dobbins on the injured list and called up Richard Fitz from Worcester. Game 7 of the NBA Finals went to Oklahoma City last night. 103-91 over Indiana. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander won Finals MVP after scoring 29 points. Pacers lost Tyrese Halliburton to an Achilles injury in the first quarter. Phoenix traded Kevin Durant yesterday to Houston, and U.S. Ryder Cup captain Keegan Bradley won the Travelers Championship by 1 shot. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180. Don't put off losing weight this summer. Reach your goal during the easiest season for weight loss. Awaken 180, the official weight loss program of summer. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
Seldom right and never wrong.
Right here. Zach Toucher or Zach Hardy?
Kinda looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
At bats, Aroldis Chapman buzzing him with a fastball. That was pretty fun.
I wondered if he's going to get any chin music during the series.
Didn't hit him, but Aroldis threw 102 inside. That was in the ninth.
Like on purpose?
Close game. I want to establish the inside corner.
All right, I don't mind that. That's fine. Last night, though, as they're wrapping up the series, the Sox took an early lead, gave it back, and then took it again.
Swinging a high fly ball down the left field line. That one's headed toward the foul pole, deep out there, and that is gone. Cedar Rafaela with his 8th home run of the year. Boy, the ball is flying all of a sudden, and the Sox are back in the lead.
As I said, after they had surrendered the lead, let's see, at various points of this final game of the set last night, they led 1-0. They led 3-2. They led 4-2, 4-3. Retook the lead there with that Rafaela homer to left in the 6th inning. That made it 5-4. I'm sure everything went fine after that. No, wait, hold on. Couple runners on for San Francisco.
And the Giants tie the game.
Well, the safety squeeze is such a great play, and it doesn't even require a great bunt to get the job done. But you called it.
Not to take anything away from the bunt, but that wasn't great.
Sacrifice bunt out to the catcher right in front of the plate. That's a thrill a minute. That's a great highlight to play there, honey.
Well,
that was good.
You don't appreciate the little things.
You don't like small ball?
This guy.
There were like 8 home runs hit in this game. You played that.
Well, listen, you don't like manufacturing a run because you have an ignorance of the game.
Thank you.
And that's very good. Hardy appreciates moving a runner along and manufacturing runs. Maybe something that you don't understand.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Some of us have played the game.
Congrats.
Maybe it was just a statement on the folly, the continued folly of the Red Sox defense.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Red Sox defense.
No, let's give you a 2-run RBI double instead, since all you want is big hits.
Yeah.
Down the line. Nobody's there.
Nobody's there. It's your funeral. Nobody liked you.
Terrible. Terrible thing to say.
Down the line.
It's like your funeral. Nobody's there.
Said it again.
One run scores. Here comes.
Throw some dirt on it. It's over.
He scores. And now
Roses own the casket.
if you're Romy Gonzalez, you feel worse.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? The Red Sox still can't field.
Well, that made it 8-5. Giants would go on to win 9-5.
So they can trade whoever they want to trade, but the problem is you still have the players that are left. You had Jaron Duran collide with the third baseman for one error on a pop fly in the short left. You had Romy Gonzalez completely miss a line drive right at him.
But you can understand how that happens,
there.
John. When you're looking at the ball, you can't look at where other players are. You don't have two sets of eyes.
What about the Gonzalez liner that was right at him, and he missed it, and it went into right field, and double scored 2 runs right after that.
Shot off the glove. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the Giants take the lead.
So high degree of difficulty.
They mentioned in that same call that's not the only time it happened in the series.
Sure.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, is that The Athletic has like a primer for the trade deadline and players who could go, and their number one player is Duran.
Yeah. You're hearing that more and more now.
Which is what they should have done in the first place, but there you go. The belief is that Jaron Duran would be the number one, because there's not many players. If you look at the list, there's like 4 Red Sox on it because there's like 5 teams. It's like Colorado, Cincinnati they have on there, Boston, and Boston's got like, 4 of the guys that are on that list, and Duran's number 1.
Especially you had Roman Anthony on left and Jaron Duran as the DH, and every time I see Jaron Duran, his at-bat lasts no more than 4 pitches because he swings at everything, in and out of the strike zone. And he had such a good year last year, too. I don't know what happened. He can't. It's called taking a pitch and keeping the bat on your shoulder. He leads off, sees no pitches, swings wherever the ball is. And if you put Roman Anthony in left, if you're really going to leave the team to the kids, if you're really going to let the kids do it, then you trade Duran and put Roman Anthony in left.
Yeah, and never, ever, 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 ever win. And just continue to not win. Always push for the future. Get Chaim Bloom to rebuild your farm system and then trade everyone away. And then trade them for prospects. So you're always got a good AAA team going, and don't worry about anything else. There's always hope. Hope springs eternal with this team. So congratulations to them.
Not right now. Hope isn't springing anywhere right
well,
now.
no, you got the kids. Yeah. Everyone's looking for the kids. The kids are going to come up. The kids are going to play. And then when they get good, they'll be traded.
Yeah.
And then the whole process starts again. Then you get a bunch of other kids, and then you go, look at these kids. The kids.
Yeah, you're Tampa Bay is what you are. Good for you.
Yeah, well, Tampa Bay, at least those kids can get them into the playoffs, and then they get traded. Red Sox don't like that so much.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on here as our intern Cam was tasked with getting some golf audio from the Travelers Championship here.
That's right.
All right. So the cut is called Bradley Chip on 18. Now, spoiler alert, Keegan Bradley ended up winning the Travelers Championship yesterday. It's the 3-stroke deficit. He had made a bogey on 14, and things are not looking good. Tommy Fleetwood, who, do you know the name Tommy Fleetwood, Fred?
Yeah, he's got beautiful hair.
He's got beautiful hair. Okay, you know who he is. He's never won a PGA Tour event. Yeah, he's one of these beloved figures on tour, but mostly European success. Looks like he's finally going to, break the seal here and win on the PGA Tour. He ends up making a couple bogeys down the stretch. Keegan Bradley hits this amazing wedge from about 100 yards, just this towering shot that lands about 4 feet below the hole.
Over a bunker.
Right. And this is after Fleetwood had left his approach short, and he's like 50 feet short. And you've got all these things going on in the final hole. They're playing as a threesome to beat the weather and everything else. What didn't happen was a chip on 18 from Keegan Bradley. Now, Cam, I don't know what this call is. Maybe it's a shot that I missed. Let's listen.
No, it's the other guy off the green that chipped in on 18.
So Russell Henley? Do you think this is Russell Henley?
This is Russell Henley chipping in.
Okay, so you think it's Russell Henley. What do you think this cut is going to be, John?
I think he thinks that approach by Keegan Bradley is to chip onto the green.
I'm with you, John. I think
it's the guy that chipped in from the fringe.
Okay, let's listen. Here we go.
Can he deliver one here at the final hole? Did he ever?
Okay, well, we don't know.
It could have been anybody. That could have been me. It could have been anybody.
When do we get to grade the intern? Is that not for a couple more weeks?
Cam, how many weeks we got left?
We got plenty of time.
Okay, good.
Plenty of time.
It's a chance for redemption.
That was his first crack at contributing to the show today.
Okay.
That's the sound you cut, Cam? This?
Can he deliver one here at the final hole? Did he ever?
I don't know.
It could be Fred. That means Fred could be right. Fred could be right. That could have been the chip. Could have been Russell Henley.
I know. I think it's the approach shot from Keegan Bradley. But ironically, there is. Did you guys see the end of the tournament?
Yeah.
The other guy did. They had 3 guys playing
from the chip off the
chip off, to birdie, and then if Keegan would have missed his putt, then it would have been a 3-way tie and extra golf. Yes.
Free golf. But instead,
my parents, we couldn't leave my ex-wife's house until the tournament ended, and I'm like, oh no,
that was a hell of a
you make that putt.
A hell of a finish. Keegan Bradley, who is your Ryder Cup captain and local ties, Hopkinton High School, New England guy, had won this tournament 2 years ago, I believe, maybe 3 now, that Keegan Bradley won it. For him to come back down the stretch there, and obviously there's people are pulling for him. I thought. Maybe there in the crowd, if you could take the pulse, people would have conceded that, all right, he wasn't going to win it. Let's see Fleetwood win something here. That way we're seeing something semi-historic here because he hadn't won yet on the PGA Tour. But for Keegan to come from behind and take the win, that was huge for the patrons in attendance in Cromwell, Connecticut.
I'm surprised you didn't talk about the club change, Hardy. I'm surprised you didn't talk about the Fleetwood club change before that final shot.
He
got nervous.
He was in between clubs, and he didn't know what to do. He ended up coming up short, and then a lackluster putt up to the hole. Did he chip or putt from the
putted.
Yeah.
Look at us, all three of us, big losers. Saw the end of that tournament.
That was a great finish.
Well, listen,
a classic case of nothing else on. Now, for me, I would have been watching it anyway. But for you guys, I'm guessing nothing else on.
It was a situation where I liked the TV being on and everyone focused on the TV. I like that.
Less problems that way.
Well, no, there would be no problems. It was just made everything smooth.
Yep.
All right. Well, listen, there was a situation here at the station last week. We were not involved, none of us, but it was gross, and we will have that. And it will not. And what this? I'm just playing this to kind of get Hardy going down memory lane a little bit. So he's got no problem going down memory lane on these things. This is more just to set Hardy up with some memory lane action. But we'll have that for you in just a moment.
running. Keep working hard and finish every job strong.
From the Telfair Tire Studios, WBZ-FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox were beaten in San Francisco yesterday 9-5. They wound up losing 2 of 3 to the Giants over the weekend. Elliot Ramos led the winners with 4 RBIs. Rafael Devers 1 for 3 as the DH for a third straight day. The Sox bullpen allowed 4 runs in the 7th inning and 1 more in the 8th to lose this one. They'll be right back at it against the Angels tonight out on the West Coast. Sox have also called up pitcher Richard Fitz from Worcester and put pitcher Hunter Dobbins on the injured list with an elbow strain. For the first time since the franchise moved from Seattle, the Oklahoma City Thunder are NBA champions this morning. This after they beat Indiana last night in Game 7 of the Finals, 103-91. Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle got his team right to the edge, but they came up 1 win short.
I told these guys coming into this that, there's no feel-good scenario when you get to the finals and are unable to get it done. And it really hurts on the one hand. On the other hand, this team has given all of Pacer Nation something to be very proud of.
He also lost to star point guard Tyrese Halliburton to an Achilles injury 7 minutes into the game. NBA MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 29 points. He was voted Finals MVP. Phoenix finally traded Kevin Durant yesterday. They sent him to Houston for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the 10th overall pick in this week's draft, and 5 second-round selections. And in golf, Keegan Bradley rolled in a 6-foot birdie putt on 18 to win the Travelers Championship by 1 shot over Tommy Fleetwood. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the 99 Restaurants. Visit the Nines the day after the Red Sox win and get a free kids meal with every adult entree purchased. You gotta love the Nines. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
New England plays here.
Ball down the right side. It's a separation. Touchdown pass. Perfect dive from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, listen, if you've got to go, we understand, but make sure you bring the Sports Hub app with you so you can hear more of Toucher and Hardy.
That's what I want on my tombstone.
On the Sports Hub.
Oh, he's on the list. I'm going to put him in the body bag.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. You can watch us on YouTube. Simply subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and get involved. Here's the deal. We have been told that Scott Zolak had a unfortunate accident on the show maybe last Friday. But the thing is we have a Scott Zolak expert here in our own friend Hardy, who was for a decade at least one of the hosts of the Zolak and Bertrand show, correct?
Yeah, I mean, starting in 2009, I was sitting there with him and Tangway. So,
yeah.
Let's call it 13, 14 years?
Yeah, I can remember every bit of bouncing boob that walked past that window. And they all went into my books.
It's awesome.
Every hot mamacita had a chance of becoming Gary's next character in his erotic thrillers.
From Tangway and Zolak to Gresh and Zolak to when Zolak got top billing, which he so richly deserves on the Zolak and Bertrand show. Yeah, I was there for many years, sitting
right. And while you were there,
in close proximity to Zoe.
So Zolak is he's unique as opposed to other radio hosts here at the station because of what makes him unique.
Well, he is in the 2 chair, but gets top billing. That's
Okay.
number one.
Yeah.
He is a former athlete, which makes him unique in terms of other hosts. His size makes him unique.
Right. What about in his behavior makes him unique?
Oh, well, people ask me a lot. You used to get questions about Adolfo all the time,
right?
What's Adolfo really like? I still get questions about Zoe. What's Zoe really like? And I tell people my stock answer is that I know he sounds like a 10-year-old on the air, but in person, he's really more like an 8-year-old. He's on his best behavior when you hear him on the air.
Right.
That is Scott Zolak.
Now, sadly, he no longer shows us his balls, which was a big part of his personality when he was. But he is, like so many other things that the woke people have taken away from us, there's no more seeing his balls.
One of the many things that he has chastised me for being an old fuddy-duddy and no fun is when I told him very early on, you have to stop exposing your genitalia in the workplace. You're going to ruin this for yourself and maybe for others. You have to stop that.
All right, so he unfortunately stopped that. Hardy is a culprit in why this is no longer happening. I don't like that. But, Scott eats a lot. That's fair to say. You have the story. I feel free to tell it again because I don't know if everyone's heard it. I'm going to let you tell it without giving anything away. When we were in Dorchester, we were next to a grocery store, and what did you see?
This was during one of his resets on one of his plans where he wasn't supposed to be, eating a lot. But this was like day 2. This is really one of the really rough periods. So the Star Market that was next door to the radio station in Dorchester sold big platters of egg salad sandwiches. So one morning, right before the show, Beetle had pulled into the Star Market parking lot, which was a good shortcut in case there was a little traffic buildup, and was going around the back of the Star Market, and happened to glance down the alleyway and saw Zoe's truck parked next to a dumpster in between the Star Market and the radio station. And Zoe was crouched on the ground next to the dumpster, eating a tray of egg salad sandwiches.
Well, wait a second. Tray? I mean, do you mean a plate with one egg
salad? I mean a party platter of egg salad sandwich sliders.
So like something that you would get if you were having like at Adam, like a clothes where you could go pick up clothes at the church. They might get a Stop and Shop egg salad sandwich platter.
Maybe you're having a Masters viewing party and you want to be cute and serve egg salad like they do at Augusta National. So you would buy a tray of egg salad sliders. And Zoe was spotted crouched next to the dumpster, eating.
Guiltily eating?
Yes, eating in secrecy.
Yeah, so he was crouched eating.
Fueling up for the show that day.
All right, so Zolak, he constantly eats, correct?
It's just a constant in and out with him. It's either going in or it's coming out.
Sure.
And his partner, 2 partners ago, Andy Gresh, he was the same way for a time. Andy's much healthier now. But Andy used to tell me that he would get up do you ever get up in the middle of the night to urinate, John?
Sure.
Gresh told me that he would get up in the middle of the night to defecate. He would be awoken from a slumber because he had to go number 2. Which only when I've been very, very sick has that happened to me.
That's a special time for someone to have that happen.
I mean, you're asleep for like 6 hours. I mean, what do you expect to happen?
It's build-up. I understand.
And I'm pretty sure at the time Zoe co-signed on that. Oh, yeah. I get up and take a dump in the middle of the night.
Sure.
So, yeah, this is just something that's constantly going on with him.
Okay.
All right. So, well, this is we have an expert here in Hardy, so he can speak to this. I think there's some language that maybe we will not understand that he can describe for us, but I guess this happened Friday.
Okay.
We got a Honey Pot Hill situation coming here.
Oh, why don't you excuse yourself?
Because you don't want that.
Okay, so I have no idea what that means. What does a Honey Pot Hill mean?
What the hell is that?
Situation mean?
Okay.
You're laughing.
The Honey Pot Hill incident, as it is now referred to. Zoe had one of these $5,000 appearances that he does. Where he shows up at a golf course for 15 minutes and screams at people and then leaves. Okay. So he's up in Stowe and somewhere in that area, and he has to go.
Yeah.
Because it's been an hour since he's been able to sit on a commode, and it is an emergency. So he's driving past the Honey Pot Hill Orchard.
Okay.
It's the only place around. There's nothing else out there.
Right.
He screams into the parking lot on 2 wheels, right? And he needs to use the bathroom, but he understands this is not a rest stop.
There's no bathroom like right there in the parking lot.
But there is a shop and there is a building to go into. So he screeches to a halt in the gravel parking lot. He sees 2 people sitting outside, and his excuse to go into the building was, as he hurries past them, "You sell pies here?" That was his.
Because if you don't, you could sell this.
You sell pies here?
Mud pie.
And camouflage.
I was like, what did they say? He goes, I don't know. I didn't even care. I had to say something to go in the door. I don't know why you had to, but he felt compelled to ask a question as he walked in. Now, he goes in, he finds a bathroom, kind of like goes through the aisles or whatever, and finds a bathroom.
Right.
And he says one of these old school, like farmhouse bathrooms, like with a transom window that's propped open. Yeah. And he says, thank God, because he knew this was going to be bad. So he gets done. He does what he has to do. He goes back out. And as he goes back out, he gets his bearings and he realizes that the window is right above this bench where two young girls were sitting. And he had done unspeakable things in that bathroom, to which there was no way they didn't hear. And
did he have to pass them on the way out?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
and with no pies in hand.
Oh, he didn't even buy anything?
No,
he didn't even pay the freight?
So? You think he bought something?
Oh, you got to pay the freight.
No, there's no paying.
He didn't buy a pie.
There's no paying.
Much less multiples. He asked if they sold pies, plural.
There's getting paid.
He didn't buy.
And there's.
They're probably thankful that he didn't buy anything, so they didn't have to touch his money. So they didn't have to touch anything he talked.
So a Honey Pot Hill situation is code word for I need a bathroom immediately.
Got it. Stat.
Okay.
Yeah, he needs a bathroom stat. Okay, very good. See, we're learning. Who knew what a Honey
Thank
Pot
God
Hill
Hardy's
situation
here. We have a
was?
translator. This is good.
We got a Honey Pot Hill situation coming here.
Oh, why don't you excuse yourself?
Because, you don't want that to happen.
No, I don't.
That one goes out to a friend in
As
Carver.
Don and Carver would say, pies.
Yeah.
Pies. All right.
Man.
He's not.
He's sweating. Yeah, he's feeling it.
Yeah. He's
I
not.
can see the sweat from here.
He's not walking normally.
No, he's pinching. Yeah.
He's pinching, and
I don't know if he's going to make it. To be honest,
I don't know
because now he's actually now he's running.
He's got to go to the.
That's not good.
So he's got to go to the bathroom
He
over
doesn't
there
have a key card
because his key card doesn't work. So he's running to a different part of the building.
That chair is going to see some stuff.
I think he's going to be okay. I think he's going to make it.
He was visibly sweating. I'm sure that company's going to appreciate that. By the way, in their
Not all
bathroom
that
over
different
there.
from the
That's
rest
good.
of the time.
Yeah. His upper lip was quivering.
Yes, it was. Sweat. My goal is to get Milliken to fall out of his chair laughing by the end of the show.
If I fall, I'm not getting up. I'm going to be stuck on the ground. Like a turtle.
All right. So, how often in your tenure with him did he have to make haste out of the room, like an urgent situation?
I mean, it was a once-a-week situation, but, we talk about how it's a rarity for any of us to do that at work.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that Zoe does it every day. Every day, he has to go
He
do
takes
that.
a dump.
Yes.
And so, does he eat every day during the show?
Yes. 100. Underline, in red. Always eating.
Okay.
It's always going in, and it's always coming out.
And
he's like a bird.
He's got like a relationship with the guys that run the cafeteria downstairs because he gets the daily special almost on a daily basis.
And it could be some kind of fried rice. It could be ribs. It could be meatloaf. He loves meatloaf day. He goes down there, and he'll come back up, and he'll announce it. Meatloaf! It's meatloaf day! And they do a fine job down there. We've all, sampled many of the menu items, but I've never the meatloaf. I'm not getting cafeteria meatloaf.
Right.
For Zoe, that's a big day. And every day, yes, he is using the bathroom for those purposes at work.
Yeah, and so we know what a Honey Pot Hill situation is.
Mm-hmm. He also throws up a lot. Way more than anyone over the age of 18 months.
I've noticed that.
I've ever seen someone throw up to the point where, but that doesn't stop the intake of food. He was on a big fillet of fish kick for a while, and he would mention the McDonald's fillet of fish and how there's one right down the road and how he loves them and all that stuff. And he would keep talking about it until someone from the McDonald's or somebody would to get him to maybe talk about football instead. A listener would stop by and buy him a bunch of fillet of fish.
For real, a listener?
Yes. And
he would eat food from a listener?
Yes. If you drop off a sack of fillet of fish sandwiches for Zoe, it doesn't matter who you are, he's going to eat them. But one of these days happened to be on a day when he had thrown up on the way to work, and then thrown up when he had gotten here. And you know what he did after that?
He ate about 8 fillet of fishes.
He ate a fillet of fish, and then he threw that up, and then he went back in and he ate another one.
That's a truly special individual. I've never heard of that.
Jesus.
From anybody.
That's crazy.
If it goes out, there's no more intake. There's no more. I'm not.
Well, it's one thing if you're like drinking, it's 2 a.m. and you throw up, and then you're like, I don't want this party to end, and you just start shoveling it in. But with food, you would think that's that.
It's out. It stays out. That's it.
No.
He just loves pleasure. Like he loves his appetite. Like he loves pleasure. Like,
He's a man with a large appetite.
Yeah, like a sensory, an appetite for everything. Yeah, like
all id.
Like he always has to be feeding, like
indulging an appetite of some kind.
Exactly. Like some kind of dopamine has to be being released at every moment. That's fascinating.
It's something else.
Because there is something orgasmic too about throwing up. So like you have that, the pleasure of throwing up, which is actually quite pleasant if you think about it. Not leading up to it and not after, but the process of throwing up is pleasant.
Well, he's like a Roman. That's what the Romans would do. They would gorge themselves to the point of having to throw up so they could go and eat again. That's one of the things you learn in world history classes.
Guy in Stern, it's called a Roman shower. It's a Roman shower.
Oh, no, not Jeff the Vomit guy. No.
What?
Now, there was some mention of the chair in that.
Hello!
But I don't think there was any incident on the chair. That has happened more than once also.
Yeah, he's made duty on the chair, visible duty on the chair.
Well, because something came out, he thought it was going to be a safe one, and it was not safe, and some of it ended up on the chair.
Okay, because I grew up with my parents, and my father's bed was a big situation. There was ashtrays and old food and whatever, his underwear. It was disgusting. I got to imagine that sleeping in the same bed. Do you think Zolak can control himself in the middle of the night, like when he's asleep, or do you think things are coming out in his sleep?
I know my answer to that.
Because there's no way if you can't get through 4-hour show that you're going to
No.
sleep like on a night where you partied and everything, and that there's nothing coming out in the bed.
I mean, logic would tell us that there has to be a situation happening somewhat regularly, but I don't know. He's never.
Does he complain often about the condition of his underwear?
He doesn't wear underwear.
Does he complain? Oh, that's why he gets through the pants. Does he complain often about the issue of his pants? How they have to be laundered?
No.
Okay, so he's not making a lot of mistakes all the time.
To my knowledge, no.
Why does he not wear underwear?
That might be another story.
Look at you with your why.
Well, it just seems for comfort you would wear underwear because you wouldn't want your penis rubbing up against the coarse fabric of the pant.
I agree. He says
he wears dungarees a lot too.
He says it's a very pleasant experience when he's wearing suit pants, like on game days.
Oh, okay, because that's smooth. But then there's also a zipper situation. Yeah. But listen, we all have our own thing. Very good. All right, I'm sure you're tired of it by now, but you haven't heard us talk about it. We will not go Rafael Devers crazy today, believe me, but Jeff Passan did write his piece on the dysfunction of the Red Sox, and we have a contractual obligation, at least, to reference it. We'll have that for you in just a moment.
We got a Honey Pot Hill situation.
You're listening to...
They're moving on again from an iconic star.
All right, we've heard all we've had to say about this whole Devers situation. Jeff Pass and every show's talked about it since it came out, but we haven't. Released an article about how terrible things are behind the scenes with the Red Sox and handling the Devers thing. But maybe we haven't. I heard Chris Gasper talking with Jim Murray this weekend, and he echoed a lot of what I had been saying. I'm sure he didn't hear me say it. It's just parallel thinking, but. I just want to mention this, just this one particular part, because I don't want to really wade into the Devers particulars, but this is from the article. Early in Craig Breslow, who was their 12th or 13th choice to be their GM, tenure as chief baseball officer, he hired a consulting firm called Sportsology Group to assess Boston's baseball operations department. The wide-ranging evaluation was something out of Office Space, of course, the great movie by Mike Judge.
Mm-hmm.
An attempt to cut the fat accumulated while Boston cycled through the heads of baseball ops. Ben Cherington took over from Epstein in 2011 and won a World Series in 2013. 2 years later, the Red Sox hired Dave Dombrowski over him. 10 months after Dombrowski won a World Series, he was fired and replaced by Bloom, who lasted 4 years. Now, that's interesting. So they hire an outside consulting firm to, quote-unquote, cut the fat. When they talked to Breslow and Sam Kennedy, what did Sam Kennedy keep leaning on? What did he keep leaning on? It's an easy answer. Sam Kennedy, they would ask him questions. He would say, I would put you guys don't know. I would put
track record, the
last 25 years, the amount of titles
right.
I've had, the track record that we've had, the excellence that we've had over the last 25 years. Okay, then why are you, if you've been so successful and you're so proud of it, why have you taken an outside organization to come in and clean the fat? If indeed you want to rest upon you had a ton of success, and if you want to rest upon that, fine. But those guys aren't around anymore. And why are you trying to cut the parts of this organization that made that happen? Everything with them is that they're riding the crest of a wave. They're doing business in futuristic terms. They're got consulting firms and AI and all this stuff, and everyone's an old man yelling at a cloud and this and that. Great. If you can't communicate any of this and can't make this function in your organization, in any business, you're a failure. You could be the smartest guy in the world. You could have the highest IQ in the world. You could have come up with the greatest idea of all time. If you can't get that idea implemented and get people to do it, it's worthless. It exists entirely in your brain. They're doing business backwards. There's no communication in this organization, and they can't even get their messaging right, which bothers me because they had 24 hours, and there's 1,000 consultants talking about the message and how should we get this message out, and they can't do it in any conceivably relative, logical, intellectual way. It's all dumb. Yes, Jonathan, you've had your hand up forever.
It's all chaos is what it is, and that seems to be the only constant with this organization. What someone should have asked Kennedy was, what's your track record since you changed the way you do business? Which is horrible. They made one run to the American League Championship Series. That was a lightning strike. That was a gift 4 years ago, and they seem to want to live off that as if that had anything whatsoever to do with the way they've modeled things. Ever since they put Chaim Bloom in charge and got rid of Dombrowski, everything they do with this organization has changed. They don't want to spend money. If they do, it'll be on the cheap unless they're backed into a corner like they were with Devers. And when you make a deal like that for Gary Crochet, who's going to be a free agent sooner rather than later, you have to pay him. But any free spending on free agents
Okay, so
gone.
it goes on. Around 50 people were fired last year, sources said. The professional scouting department was gutted. All right, well, let's go over that. The professional scouting department was gutted. Okay, the players that you traded for Garrett Crochet were scouted by that department. Roman Anthony, Kristen Campbell, Marcelo Meyer, all scouted by that department. Why were they gutted? If we're supposed to be so thrilled about these prospects that you brought in, why did you gut the scouting department? Again,
they're trimming the fat.
But they're trimming fat that they are leaning upon, like, trust us, this is all good. We've had this unparalleled amount of success, which is true. But then they hire a guy who's their 16th choice, and they go, just take an outside consulting firm and fire 50 people. Well, these are the same. Well, which way is it? It sounds to me like you'd fire 50 people out of an organization that was struggling. That if I was going to fire 50 people, I'd go to the people I'm trying to sell to, and I'd go, look, the last 25 years have been terrible. There's a new sheriff in town, and I'm getting rid of everything. And we're starting from scratch, and we're doing all of this. That's messaging for that. The messaging for firing 50 people isn't, oh, don't worry, everything has been great for 25 years, so we got rid of everyone. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make logical sense. And why, if you were down to your 12th, 13th, 14th choice for GM, would you give them the keys to the car and just go nuts? Wouldn't you want checks and balances in place? You make those you give someone the keys to the organization like that when you can't believe how brilliant they are and you can't do enough. Like, that's someone you poach from another organization.
That's someone who everyone is aligned on and unanimously say, go get this guy. That's someone that you trust implicitly when you hire, not someone you just got to run the organization who wasn't anybody's first choice. It's bizarre behavior. It's been bizarre behavior for the last 5 or 10 years over there, and I'm not entirely sure why.
No, I don't know either. It goes, since the cuts, well, I can tell you why, because Breslow's not good at this at all. Breslow is like a tech guy that doesn't really understand. Again, it's the same way he got into the Ivy Leagues. He has a fraudulent Ivy League degree. He was a great pitcher who backdoored his way into Yale. And then, again, the hardest thing about getting into an Ivy League school is getting in. The hardest thing about graduating an Ivy League school is getting into it. So these athletes, they're fraudulent. Just like Andrew Shue from Melrose Place. He went to, I believe he went to Princeton and played soccer.
Mm-hmm.
But Andrew Shue's no good actor.
Yeah, but he's a dreamboat.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get in for your looks, I thought. Says, since the cuts, Breslow's circle of trust has been very small. Well, that worked out for Belichick. And his reliance on teams' analytical model heavy. Then why hire a baseball guy? Again, none of this makes sense. So part of the selling point on Breslow is that he played so long in the majors, but then he just throws all that out and goes to analytical work. In the majors, did he learn the power of analytical work? You would think that he would go, well, from being a lifetime baseball guy, I've seen all these things that I know how to communicate. Like, your involvement in professional baseball, your lifetime of baseball would seem to be most utilized in your communication, your ability to communicate, you being around the game. That's part of it. But for him, not only do they not get the brains of like some mathematician, they also don't get the institutional knowledge and connections of someone who's been in baseball. He seems literally like the worst hire. They should have just gotten a guy who knows what he's doing in one of these things. Analytical model heavy. According to sources, leaving some longtime employees embittered. Breslow loyalists feel the consequences of that, with one saying, there are definitely turncoats internally plotting against Brez. And that's one of his friends. So they're internally plotting against him, which, again, is a good hire, because if you have a job and they're internally plotting against you, there's a group of people. You're not sufficient in your ability to lead. You're not a good leader. You do not belong in that job. If there's fear that people are trying to, there's two things. People shouldn't have the ability to do it because you're so ingrained, and it shouldn't be matter what they did. And if it should be one or two guys, and if you find them, they're gone. But if you believe there's this wave of people that's big enough to make a difference in it, where people are becoming obstinate and just like digging their heels in, and they're going to go to the media against you, you're not good at it. You need to get fired.
The best organizations have everyone pulling in the same direction. That's obvious. But it's kind of ironic given the multi-alignment press conference we had in the wake of the Devers trade. Doesn't sound like anybody's aligned in that front office. Doesn't sound like anybody's moving in the same direction. Sounds like it's Breslow and everyone else running around like chickens with their heads cut off.
But then you've got this ongoing thing, and it talks about this in the article too, Fred, where they will occasionally have their hands on a quote-unquote star player. And in the case of Devers, they will even pay that star player. And another GM quoted in this piece says, you don't get rid of your star players. And that's all the Red Sox do. That's all they've done going back, and they mentioned the low ball offer to John Lester. They mentioned the trades of Mookie Betts, the Chris Sale, and now the quote-unquote trade for Rafael Devers. Once you acquire one of these guys, you need to hang on to some of them. Not every single one of them. I get it. It's just cost prohibitive. But every once in a while, you got to pay a guy. And in the case of Devers, they did pay him, and they still got rid of him.
It's even worse than that because all those guys you just mentioned, homegrown.
Yes.
How many organizations would kill to develop guys like Lester, Betts, and Devers? I mean, in Betts and Devers, you have two generational bats that you actually brought up through your minor league system. Hey, look, it works.
We signed the kid when he was 17.
It works. Look, we did this. And then the second he wants more money or the second he says something out of line, he's gone.
You take a kid my son's age, 17. You sign him. He turns into a Hall of Fame bat.
Unbelievable.
And then you trade him for nothing. That's the plan. I mean, Breslow is annoying. He's the first guy in that organization in a very long time that's annoyed me because I think I understand him. And I think he is someone who isn't good at anything, meaning that when it comes to analytics, he probably has a very loose, just enough knowledge of it to be dangerous. He has absolutely no leadership skills, hence his small circle and lack of communication. And his lifetime in baseball has given him no institutional knowledge that he's able to use effectively. So that's probably why he was the 13th, 14th choice for this job. You know, I get Dombrowski because what Dombrowski does is he just pays a lot of money to everyone and makes huge trades. I understand that. Theo Epstein, you alienated and he decided to leave. Chaim Bloom, you tasked with putting together, rebuilding the farm system, and then when you rebuild the farm system, you fired him. Now you got a guy that you didn't even want. It's crazy. You just keep cycling through front office people and trading star players and alienating your fans. It's really something else. And the only thing that could change it is ownership, sitting down and really getting involved. And if they really want to shake everything up, get rid of everyone up top. If you want to do a shakeup, get rid of everyone. But don't turn around and go, oh, we had 25 years of great success. I'll put her 25 years up against everyone. But then the story is you're firing everyone involved in that success.
Put your last 4 years up against everyone else.
Exactly.
That's what I'd like to see.
Because as an owner, John Henry can go, look, you guys had nothing before I came here, and now you got 4, and that's a valid point, which I've always made. I think that John Henry gets a lot of crap that he probably doesn't deserve, and that's probably why the way he is now. But the second part of that is you can't say, look at the last 25 years and gut everyone, because if that was the case, it would be like the Pirates. The Pirates are the kind of team that would go, all right, look, we're getting rid of everyone. We're starting clean. We're doing business over again. Enough of this. That's the kind of team that goes, enough of this. You don't go, look at how great it was. Hey, welcome to Herb Chambers Ford. We're the leading seller of Ford Broncos. Now, the guy that is in charge of the Broncos here, him and his staff are gone. We're king of the Broncos. Like, it doesn't make sense. If you're so good at something, then why are you getting rid of everyone? It doesn't make any sense. It's a shame. Adam, go ahead.
Hey, guys. So, things have been in such disarray. But I think the overarching question from the day that this happened is, and my details could be off, but Theo either owns part of Fenway Sports Group and or works in some capacity. Like, doesn't someone think to, Doesn't someone think go down the hallway and knock on the door and say, hey, what do you think? It point me in the right direction. Like, the guy's essentially, it conceivably has some answers to the test. The fact that it's gotten this far off the rails, and if he's being consulted, I mean, it's never really been reported on. It's been very in the background. I just don't understand any of it, because he's done it with 2 organizations, obviously, has a proven track record. And now it's like the whole house is on fire.
The problem is Theo was rehired by the Fenway Sports Group as a consultant, but he's a consultant to all of their properties, not just the Red Sox. His attention has been split. And, yeah, Breslow leans on him occasionally, but Theo's got other stuff to do. That's the problem. They hired him for the wrong job. They should just let him buy in and then concentrate on just the Red Sox to save the organization from themselves. That would have been the smarter move.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's unreal.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox lost to San Francisco yesterday 9-5. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Giants. They're 3-3 on a 9-game West Coast road trip. They visit the Angels late tonight. The team has also placed Hunter Dobbins on the injured list with an elbow strain and called up pitcher Richard Fitz. At Game 7 of the NBA Finals, Oklahoma City beat Indiana 103-91. Thunder are NBA champions for the first time since moving to that city. Pacers star Tyrese Halliburton left in the first quarter with an Achilles injury. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 29 points. He was voted Finals MVP. And the other big NBA story yesterday was that Phoenix traded Kevin Durant to Houston for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th overall pick in the draft on Wednesday night, and 5 second-round picks. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Celsius Energy Drinks. Refresh your energy with zero sugar, essential vitamins, and proven ingredients. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
Toucher and Hardy.
Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and let's go to Bob. Bob, hello, Bob.
Good morning, fellas.
What's going on?
Wallach, this one's for you, baby. You were there in the height of the Terry Francona era. You saw all of it. You know what I'm talking about, all the craziness that went on in the locker room. But they won 2 World Series titles and went to 2 ALCS Game 7s with all that insanity going on. And I just don't understand what Craig Breslow wants. You want all these guys to be robots? You want none of these guys to ever speak up or never have any ego trips or whatever?
Well, just the way that it was communicated to Devers was ridiculous. Again, we talked to Jim Bowden, and he was with the Reds, and the thing from Sparky Anderson on down was, you got to keep your stars in the loop. You got to kind of, in a way, placate to your stars by at least communicating with them, because if you don't, you're not going to win. They're required. And if you look at the teams that win, they have stars. If you look at Los Angeles, they have stars. I mean, these are the guys that perform in high-leverage situations.
That
these are
roster,
the guys that win.
that 04 team, that roster was loaded with stars. And the other part about it is they had all these personalities, but Francona knew how to handle it. You know what I'm saying? And even though Francona routinely checked in with people in that locker room. Okay, what's Manny doing? David, you got to go talk to him. Dustin, you got to go talk to him. Something along those lines. It wasn't Pedroia at that point. That was 07. But you had a manager that had a good feel for the roster and a roster that was nuts. And the caller's right. The Red Sox have gone out of their way to scrub any personality clean from there. There's no loose cannon on deck. There's none of that.
All right, so you go to this is the last thing on Devers this morning. So you go to Devers and you say, and Devers finds out that you signed Bregman. There was no conversation with Devers beforehand. You just to say that you signed Bregman. He goes, okay, this is interesting. They signed Bregman. He plays my position. Nothing, no communication. You get to spring training. They go, guess what? This guy's taking your position. You said, wait a second. I thought you wanted me to lead to this team. They go, eat it. And then Cora goes, okay, look, literally goes to him, leave your minute home, focus on hitting, just do that, and you'll be fine. He sulks a little bit. He's fat, whatever. 2 weeks into the season, he starts crushing the ball. Everything's great. He's adjusted to his role. He's outperforming anyone else that's in that role around the league. So there you go. You got your big wish. You have Alex Bregman, and then you have at third base, and you have Devers at DH. Now, all of a sudden, jabroni first baseman that you have gets injured. A guy that's nothing compared to Bregman.
Tristan Casas.
That compared to, I know his name.
Oh, okay.
Compared to Bregman or Jesus Christ, I already forgot his name. Devers. Between Bregman and Devers, he's just some jabroni. So he gets hurt. Now, part of the way it was sold to Devers is forget your glove. Forget it.
Yeah.
Just concentrate on hitting. So he goes, I don't want to do it. So the owner comes down and he goes, let's have breakfast. Devers has breakfast with him. Devers says, look, I'll be happy to play first base for you next season. I don't want to switch right now in the middle of the season. I don't want to do it. Okay. Hard stop there. So maybe you don't like that. I wish you'd play first base. Okay. But you don't want to do it. But this isn't like an F you, get the hell out of my face, I don't respect you, go screw yourself, throwing over tables, going, I'm bigger than the organization, da-da-da-da-da. It's just that I don't want to switch right now. Basically, he could have said this, look, I'm hitting really well right now. I think that learning a new position and switching right now would be detrimental to me and the team. That's probably more like what the conversation was like. So none of that seems to me, while it's not what you want to hear, but that doesn't seem to me like someone, that's out of control or being obstinate, like someone who's just not willing to move. I mean, the guy said, and it makes logical sense, give me an off season to learn the position. Give me a spring training to learn the position. I've never played it before. And, see what I can do. By the way, did you know Roman Anthony played first base in college?
No.
Yeah. So I don't know why they just didn't move Roman Anthony to first base.
That seems like it would have been a really easy thing.
I heard Maserati talking about how Roman Anthony played first base in college.
I can't imagine he would have been bad at it.
No, I assume that he was pretty good at first base in college.
I thought he was taken out of high school.
Or in high school he played.
Yeah.
He played first base then. Maybe he played first base in high school. I thought that's what I heard him say, but maybe I'm wrong. But that's not even really a part of the point. The point is that you have a guy that I don't think went crazy that you just fired because his behavior is so out of control. It's nuts. By the way, it's gonna be 101 degrees tomorrow, and my son may have 3 games.
Super.
Outside. 101 degrees. If they lose today, they will not. But
Keep
if they
that
win,
good, and keep that arm loose. Be easy.
You don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to wear a sleeve.
Yeah.
Well, he's got to have his cupping and massaging. If that doesn't happen, then all hell will break
All
loose.
these kids have that. There are kids that you saw have that.
The cupping and massaging was suggested to him by another pitcher the other day.
Oh.
So that's something that's going on now. But
Along with acupressure.
a lot of routine though. A lot of routine. It's a precious gift. You can't just go out there and just go out there willy-nilly playing baseball. I mean, you got to really you got to juice it up a little bit.
Were you here when my son called me this morning? I don't think you were here yet.
No.
My son called me at 5:30 this morning because he woke up with a screaming headache because it was his first day of work yesterday outside for 6 hours. I'm like, yeah, you're probably dehydrated. Drink some water and go back to bed. Now, I don't want my son to be in pain, but I do like him feeling the after effects of a good day's work.
What was he doing?
He's working at a pool, checking people in, working the concession stand, stuff like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting that boy a work ethic.
I like it.
Maybe he'll need cupping and massaging after.
So far, he's displayed 2 distinct tendencies, which I don't know necessarily work in concert. Laziness and greed. So he's got these 2 things kind of, battling each other in his head. So I don't know how that's going to work out for him. But the first thing it manifested in was a screaming headache after one day.
So what is he going to do with all this money that he earns? Like what would be things that he wanted?
I don't know. I should ask him.
Yeah.
I don't know. What does he covet? I don't know.
Yeah, because is it like something that he's one of these like geniuses that is looking to start some kind of like account or something for the future, or is it? And I know he doesn't have to like pay for, his dinners at night and things like that. So there's food in the house. So I'm wondering what his dreams are for that income.
I don't know. I told him the last time we stopped at a Starbucks. And he wanted one of these boba drinks. Do you know what
Yeah, well, we've had this conversation several times.
$10.
I absolutely know. My daughter.
$10.
$10 for something they don't want.
Right.
Is the funny thing.
So I'm like, no, I'm not buying these anymore. Now that you're going to be working, you can buy these yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's as far as his head will allow him to dream, being able to buy his own Starbucks.
Yeah, Zoe has to buy her own Starbucks too because I'm like, I don't even go in there. I don't even get Starbucks.
No.
And it's something that it exists in the console in between the front seat and passenger seat of my car. And something that exists in the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
None of it exists in
Three
your body.
sips. Three sips gone.
None of that boba drink exists in your system. It's something that you want to possess. It's not something that you want to
Something
have.
you saw on TikTok and that's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And but you would figure that would last 1 or 2 times, but for our children it's lasted many, 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 many months. All right, we'll be back in just a moment with Joe Murray, another famous Joe Murray.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox committed 2 more errors, including a very costly one by second baseman Romy Gonzalez in the 7th inning. They allowed 5 unearned runs on their way to a 9-5 loss in San Francisco. Gonzalez's error played a big part in a 4-run rally by the Giants that put them ahead for good. They wound up taking 2 of 3 from the Sox in this weekend series. On offense, Gonzalez, Robert F. Snyder, and Ceddanne Rafaela all homered. This 9-game road trip continues against the Angels late tonight. Sox also yesterday placed Hunter Dobbins on the injured list and called up Richard Fitz from Worcester. Game 7 of the NBA Finals went to the home team last night.
Shea now given it 8 to shoot. Steps back, fires, angle right, rainbow 3 is on the way. Cha-ching, a Thunder money ball. Is Shea like a shark smelling blood in the water? He may be, baby. 25 now, 84-68, Thunder by 16.
League MVP Shea Gilgeous-Alexander scored 29 points. He was voted Finals MVP too as Oklahoma City won the championship 103-91 over Indiana. Phoenix traded Kevin Durant yesterday, sending him to Houston in exchange for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the 10th overall pick this coming Wednesday night, and 5 second-round picks. And U.S. Ryder Cup captain Keegan Bradley won the Travelers Championship yesterday by 1 shot over Tommy Fleetwood. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Blue Sky Restoration Contractors. If you experience a large-scale property loss, Blue Sky is the only company you need. They'll coordinate the work of all parties involved. Visit goblusky.com, restoring your property and your life for a brighter tomorrow. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
When breaking sports news happens in Boston,
News this morning, Marco Sturm.
it happens here.
Former Bruin, now current Bruins head coach. The hiring made official today.
Boston's home for breaking sports news and your flagship station for the Boston Bruins all year long. 98.5 The Sports Hub. You said you wanted to hear more music in the morning.
Never had to knock on wood, but I never had it yet.
No, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
A lot of food.
Oh, my God.
The good food that I had.
Super buns. Rocky Suarez found a hidden taboo in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And it gave her buns. Super buns. 2 beefy cheeks of power.
Yes, I'm a sniffer and a licker.
Whoa. Rocky. Mind your manners. All right. We are Toucher and Hardy. If you'd like to watch us on YouTube, we are on live. And I hear there's quite a bit of talk about the show going on. Most of it quite negative. But this has been happening now for, we used to be on Twitch. This has been happening now for, I would say, about over 10 years. So.
They have their favorites.
Whatever it is. Whatever you got to do it. Because it exists for you. All right. Joe Murray is also live on YouTube. If you subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub, you can watch his show every night. Everyone knows we're all big fans of Joe Murray's show. I love it. I brought him in today. As a matter of fact, a Iron Sheik figurine that I've had is still in the box. I've had it for many, many years. I got it at a carnival probably about 20 years ago. And I was going through my den. I still had moving boxes. I've been in my house for over 2 years. I still had moving boxes in this one particular room I don't use. So the other night, I went through with my kids and got rid of everything. And I threw all this crap away I didn't want. And before I threw away this Iron Sheik thing, I saw how much it was worth. And then when I saw it wasn't worth it, it wasn't really worth selling. It's worth like $50. I texted Joe and I said, Joe, you want this Iron Sheik figurine? He was a little reticent. He was wary of my intentions,
motives. Yeah.
And I said, I don't feel like selling it. Would you like it? And he was like, sure. And I go, I'll bring it on Monday.
Holy smokes!
And I said, I'll bring it on Monday. And you know what? I think of friendship. That's just another piece to our friendship wall. All right. So anyway, Joe, this is from Friday.
Earlier in the week last week.
All right. It's from sometime last week.
Last week.
Yeah. Joe's got street teamers on his show. It doesn't matter. Joe lets you in. You turn the mic on. You can do whatever you want. All right. So here we go. Here is our friend Joe Murray.
Wendy's is releasing a new Takis.
They know how to get right to him. They're like, Wendy's. He's like, hello. He's like, in. Now, I don't know anyone who loves Wendy's. Wendy's is fine. It's not gross by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't know anyone who loves Wendy's. They used to have salad bars, if you'll recall, if you're old enough.
Still enjoyed the chili from Wendy's.
A baked potato you can get at Wendy's.
Oh, sure.
I'm not positive they still have a baked potato.
Yeah, they probably don't.
I would guess they don't, because they were trying to be different.
Got those pretzel buns they rolled out a few years ago, too. Those are good.
I don't care for pretzel buns.
Oh, really? Oh, I love it.
Too much. Too much.
Too much flavor?
Yeah, now we're just doing Joe shit. Now we're just ripping them off. All right, here we go.
Wendy's is releasing a new Takis Fuego meal.
Oh! Yeah, he likes that. That he likes.
How do you know?
Because he said, whoa, that like that, you know?
Oh! Okay.
This is Joe. Did you happen to be at the apple orchard when Zolak walked in? Oh! That's right. What did the girls say that were outside of the window when Zolak had to go? Oh! At the honey pot. Very good.
No.
All right, here we go.
Fuego meal. Oh! This week, it features a spicy chicken sandwich topped with Takis chips and chili lime fries. Joe.
Yeah, he can't wait.
Oh, boy.
That sounds disgusting, by the way. Takis are those so funny. We were in the Cayman Islands one time, and Milo was like insistent that we get all these Takis. He's like, you can't get them in the United States. He's like, I'm going to sell them at school. We're going to get all these Takis. He's like little.
Right.
So we're like, all right. And so we like, it's a pain in the ass, but we get
You
to
buy
like
a
this
separate
market.
suitcase.
Right, exactly. And then we got to get them home. So like, and he doesn't want them destroyed. So we have to pack around these Takis. And no joke. So we get home, like a couple days go by. I'm at CVS with him, and there's Takis at CVS.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, they're not worth anything. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad I brought them home on the plane.
Glad I lied to customs in order to get them through.
Right. I mean, it was a real midnight run situation, or Midnight Express, or whatever it was. I was sweating in front of Turkish customs.
Hanging upside down from your ankles.
Yeah.
And I love Takis. So here's the deal. Have you ever had Takis?
I think I've tried them.
It's like a more circled Frito. It's not a Frito, but it's
how do you describe a sunset? How do you describe the Grand Canyon? Words fail.
He's into it, man.
Define love.
Describe a Taki. They should have sent a poet. I don't know.
I mean, how do you describe a sunset with holding the hand of your lover?
It's like a circular corn chip, and it definitely gets your hands dirty. Like, you know, when you eat like
yeah, garbage, dog food, huh? Yeah, your hands are dirty. Make a print across my face while you bitch slap me. What?
Please.
Fine, you're welcome.
It definitely gets your hands dirty. Like, you know, when you eat like cheese puffs and your hands become orange. But I've had the lime ones, guys. They're outstanding. Put that on top of a nice burger. In. Takis is good. Good. In.
All right, Joe, sticking with food.
Oh, well.
All right, Joe. All right, Joe.
All right, Joe. That was a warm-up. All right, Joe.
All right, Joe, sticking with food. Rolled Gold, the pretzel company, has responded to Dots with a new Doritos Cool Ranch pretzel collab. Joe Murray, are you in or out on Cool Ranch Dorito pretzels?
The Cool Ranch collab has worked on everything. Remember, Taco Bell did the nacho, and then so I'm in on anything Cool Ranch. Now, this could be a controversial take, but growing up, we didn't have a Cool Ranch option, Skaz. It was just old-fashioned nacho cheese. That's it. The red Doritos. Then Cool Ranch came out, and it was like, yeah. I like Cheez-Its too, but
Now he's just ripping.
Yeah.
I like Cheez-Its. I like pizza.
Look, look. There's been an explosion at the Fritos factory. Do you just want to roll around for a while?
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Look at Maureen fell ass first into the wedding cake. You still want some?
Yeah.
All right. Very good, Joe.
Do you Do you like what the feds are doing with the interest rates?
I like Cheez-Its too.
All right.
Like, yeah. I like Cheez-Its too, but.
Dude, Fritos, is that a chip?
That was just a free association. That didn't have anything to do with anything.
No, Cheez-Its, that's not even part of the conversation.
Nah, he's just going there. He's like Robin Williams. He's just taking ideas out of air and making magic.
I like Cheez-Its too, but.
Dude, Fritos, is that a chip? I'm a Fritos
love
guy.
Fritos.
Yeah.
The Fritos scoop.
Oh.
Forget about Tostitos. Don't even bother I like Santitas. They're $2 a bag. Love those. No. Frito Lay scoop. So just in case anybody wants to know my recipe, you get Newman's pineapple salsa, cream cheese, and shredded cheese. Put it in a nice little ramekin. Pop it in the old oven. Bing, bang, bop, boom. What else we got?
Well, first of all, I mean, those of us with less culinary experience, you expect to get us all those ingredients. And by the way, a ramekin is the size of you making an A-OK fingers. A ramekin is
it's like what they serve creme brulee in. It's
not even. No. It's like what they give you as a side when you ask for dressing on the side.
No, we have bigger ramekins.
Ramekins at restaurants that I've worked at were considered. Those were souffle dishes.
Well,
that
I tell you, the ramekins that my wife insists on buying that we never use. We have we have several sizes in our home.
Okay, because ramekins are generally like a side serving dish, and a souffle dish is something that was like a dish, like dip would be served in a bowl or souffle dish.
It's not going to be enough. You're going to need a bigger vessel for that.
Yeah, like a ramekin, that's one scoop for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, can you put salsa, cream cheese, and cheese in something, and then you put it in the oven?
You need a bigger vessel.
The oven doesn't explode?
When he said recipe, I thought there was going to be like actual culinary skills involved.
No.
First, you're going to chop up your cilantro, not too fine.
Right.
Then
preheat the oven.
No, preheat the oven.
Right.
Grab a jar of pre-mixed pineapple salsa, and then just dump in some cheese.
Yeah.
All right.
Cream cheese and shredded cheese. Put it in a nice little ramekin. Pop it in the old oven. Bing, bang, bop, boom.
All right. What did it sound like the last time that your pants broke?
Bing, bang, bop, boom. What else we got?
All right, Joe. Capri Sun has released a limited edition 15-inch juice pouch. Joe Murray, are you in or out on the extended juice pouch?
A 15-incher is like when you go to Mexico on your spring break and you drink out.
You go to the donkey show.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. And you dodge the ping pong balls enough so you can get to the donkey show. It's like, all right, you survived the ping pong balls. We know you're not the feds. Time for the donkey show.
The ping pong balls. Had those at Albuquerque.
Oh, they did?
At the Ice House. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a classy lady that's involved in that.
Yeah. You remember that, 12.
Was that just like a bar?
No.
Oh, okay.
What was it? You say it was at that wasn't a TD's, was it?
No, Ice House.
Okay. I don't think I ever went there.
All right. That's funny.
You're better for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a classy place like TD's.
Okay. All right. Or DB's Golden Banana. That would love to advertise in this station, but they're turned away every time.
On your spring break and you drink out of those long drinks. I don't know, would you say it's a 15-incher?
Yeah.
Where's that going to fit? But Icy Orange from like a McDonald's? Baby.
I don't know. Who's getting High C Orange?
But he's talking about a 15-inch Capri Sun, and then he says High C Orange from McDonald's. You might as well just say.
I like Cheez-Its too.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a theory about the High C Orange. John, you might be able to back me up on this. That was a staple. If you grew up in this area in the 70s or 80s and you were in like grammar school at that time, you go to field day and the local McDonald's would donate a giant container of the High C Orange.
It wasn't High C Orange by us. It was like cough syrup when they gave it to us. It was the most disgusting thing in the world.
It was awful when we got it at field day 2. But
it was
right.
awful.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I remember that we had pen pals, and they brought them in one day, like at the end of the school year when I was in elementary school, and they brought out this big jug, and I was very particular. You remember, I was very particular what I ate. I'd only eat the ballpark Franks from my house. Even if someone else had ballpark Franks, I didn't trust them. I didn't want anyone. I liked what I liked, and I got very excited that there would be like sweetened orange water coming out, and I got all excited about it, like it would be High C or something like that. And then I had it, and it came out like maple syrup. And then I tasted it. I still remember. I don't remember anything, and I remember to this day that day and how disappointed I was by that garbage, because it wasn't even McDonald's. It was McDonald's that brought it, but it wasn't like something they serve at the restaurant.
It was something else, and they mixed it wrong.
That was the worst. When you were having like a party at school, and you're expecting, hey, we're gonna have like treats, we're gonna have good drinks, and if you see the big cans of Hawaiian Punch, boom, you're in luck. The days when you go up there and then you see the bottles of Sunny Delight, you're like, well, no, I'm not drinking that. This stuff is like battery acid.
Sunny D, it's in the back of the fridge,
Yeah, I got some orange stuff, soda, Sunny D. Yeah, Sunny D.
Out of sight. Let's go hit the skateboards. Let's go wreck the town. Let's go tag some buildings. Let's get after it. Let's go get some glue. Let's see what's going on. All right. Well, look, thank God for Joe Murray. He is something else. And don't worry, Hardy was up to something this weekend, too.
What would you dip it in?
Okay. Sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
And he was involved in something this weekend that it was on social media. It really blew up the internet. It blew up social media. And we will discuss that as well. We'll have that in just a moment.
And then he talked about the banana pudding.
Toucher and Hardy, those scamps. They'll be right back on the Sports Hub.
All right, summer's here. Vacations, barbecues, beach days, and long nights with the people you love. This is the season to feel alive. But if your energy is low and your drive is off, you could be suffering from low testosterone. Getting treated is the first step to feeling your best for all your summer activities. And let me tell you this. Northeast Men's Health is the place to do it. Give them a call today at 617-793-5000 or visit northeastmenshealth.com. You could be like me. TRTTT is tomorrow. Testosterone Replacement Therapy Toucher Tuesdays. That's right. I went to get my hormones tested. My testosterone was low. I started taking the supplements. There's many ways you can do it. Long release, slow release, anything you want to do. Quick release, all of it is available to you. And now I am the vibrant creature you see before you. They got 6 locations across the Northeast to serve you, including a new office in Warwick. Call them today at 617-793-5000 or visit northeastmenshealth.com.
When you crack a smile, it's good. When you have a crack in your foundation, it can be wet. That's the time to whack the crack with Ramjack. Call Ramjack and they'll look at your foundation, sidewalk, patio, or concrete deck and give you a free estimate. Tell them the Sports Hub told you to whack the crack with Ramjack.
Support a fantastic cause and enjoy a round of golf at Charles River Country Club at the Triangle Golf Classic on July 28th. Individual golfer, foursome, and corporate packages are available now. All proceeds benefit Triangle Inc., an organization empowering people with disabilities to live rich, fulfilling lives. To register, go to triangle-inc.org/golf.
This summer, get big savings at Bernardi.
Come celebrate summer at Audi Natick with huge savings and selection. Lease a brand new 2025 Audi Q5 for only $519 per month for 24 months with only $42.95 down. MSRP $59,795. Or get low 2.99% APR financing for up to 72 months. So come celebrate summer and save big at Audi Natick. 5709 do it signing, 10,000 miles per year. See dealer for details.
Coleman.
It's electric.
Coleman Electric has free estimates. Well, whoop-dee-doo. Yeah, I know. Saying we have free estimates isn't a big selling point. It's like a restaurant advertising free napkins. But hey, Coleman Electric has to talk about it because our competitors, the big ones anyway, you call them up and say, yeah, I need an estimate on a wiring job or something. And they tell you their estimates cost $98. You go, what? $98? $98? How much are your napkins? Huh? Never mind. No, you call Common Electric, we come over, take a look at your project, and we give you an accurate price. It's kind of what you expect a business to do. You don't expect them to say, we are going to charge you money to tell you how much money we charge. That's crazy. My boss says it's a paradox. What? Paradox. Look, I don't know if it's one dock or a paradox. All I know is we have free estimates and they don't. So if you want an electrician and a free estimate, call Coleman Electric, and we'll be at your house in the flick of a switch. And if the switch is broken, we'll be there quicker. When you need an electrician, call Coleman.
It's electric. Summer's here, time for beach days, backyard barbecues, and catching a game with friends. But before you dive into the season, make one smart play and visit findmassmoney.gov. Here in Massachusetts, 1 in 10 people have unclaimed property from things like uncashed paychecks, refunds from overpaid bills, or forgotten savings accounts. Findmassmoney.gov is free, easy to use, and it only takes 30 seconds to search your name. That surprise cash could pay for new beach gear, ballpark snacks, or even a weekend getaway. So visit findmassmoney.gov today for your summer win. That's findmassmoney.gov.
Attention youth hockey players and parents. The Hockey House Burlington is now enrolling players 7 to 14 for summer training programs starting July 7th. Day, week, or full summer sessions. Monday.
We are Toucher and Hardy. Kevin Durant, as you just heard, was traded to Udoka's new team. He's a high-paid superstar coach now with Houston. And Durant's, what, 36 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 36.
Going to be 37. He is still an elite offensive player, but he doesn't play a lot of defense. He's going to be 37 at the end of September, and he's got 1 year left on his contract. So, what a steal for Houston. I mean, seriously, they didn't give away all that much.
Yeah, explain kind of what they gave away.
They gave away Jalen Green, who was the second overall pick in the draft 4 years ago, scored 21 points a game, mediocre three-point shooter. They gave away Dylan Brooks, who even the casual basketball fan knows is a powder keg at any given time. Dylan Brooks is a good defensive player, not a great one anymore, and had a very good three-point shooting year. They gave up the 10th overall pick in this year's draft, the draft that at best is 3 deep, maybe 4 if you're really being creative, and 5 second-round picks. So they traded away Green, who has, I think, 3 years and $100 million on his contract coming up. There's an extension he just signed. So you got that off your books for 1 year of Kevin Durant. You just finished second in the Western Conference. A lot of people forget Houston just had a really good year. And Kevin Durant, unlike the last 2 years, isn't going to get this head coach fired. This head coach and he have worked together before. Durant has a lot of respect for Udoka. I think it's a great trade for Houston.
All right, so the East is interesting this year because Halliburton's going to be gone for the season. You got Tatum who's gone for the season. So Indiana and Boston are vulnerable. You have the head coaching crisis with the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't appear that anyone in the East is getting markedly better. It seems like the West is the conference that is getting better. Does that influence you? Because what do you think the trade market would be for Brown right now? Like if their move was that, like, let's just do this all in one fell swoop and let's move Brown and get a bunch back from Oklahoma City style, what would be? Do you think there'd be more of a return now? Because they didn't get a ton back for Durant, but Durant's a totally different thing. I mean, they're 10 years. Brown's 10 years younger than him. So, like, do you think teams in the West now would be desperate to get Brown because the West is so competitive now?
The trade market is going to be insane if that were going to be the case. You're seeing a lot of teams, or you will see a lot of teams make big moves because there isn't that, other than Oklahoma City, there isn't that giant killer out there, especially in the East. Look what Orlando just gave up for a player like Desmond Bane. 4 first-round picks, a pick swap plus. Desmond Bane is a good player, not a great player. So the price for a guy like Jaylen Brown went way up after that deal. But having said that, there will be a lot of teams willing to make moves because getting to the finals, if you're in the East, is a lot easier now than it was 6 months ago. So I think you'll see a lot of teams in the market for a player like Jaylen Brown.
Okay, but if Brown stays, do the Celtics have a chance to compete in a weakened East?
Yeah, I think they have a chance to compete for home court advantage. Sure. I think they could be a 4-5 team. Absolutely. Now, again, there are problems all over the place. You're going to get rid of Porzingis. You're probably going to get rid of Drew Holiday. You don't really have a center. You're trading Porzingis, and both Horford and Cornette are free agents, and Horford is 39. I mean, we don't even know if he wants to play again. So the Celtics have a bunch of problems. But the East is so weak, I think they can compete for a 4-5 spot.
And I think we make too little of the Porzingis absence because, well, we're just assuming that that's the case, that he's going to be gone. So, what does it matter? But leading up to the playoffs this year, the across-the-board opinion was they didn't need Porzingis the year before. They absolutely would need him if they wanted to make the finals and win another championship. And that was, the landscape had changed. The East had changed. You had a lot more to contend with now, and you weren't going to do it without Porzingis. Now to say that, well, Porzingis is gone, but they still look in pretty good shape. Wait a second. Yeah, you add into the mix the loss of Drew Holiday, which seems pretty apparent too, and having Al Horford a year older, not knowing what he's going to do. I think they're really lacking. Now, if you want to add to that and just go into full rebuild mode and wait for Tatum to get better and trade Jaylen Brown away, you're talking about a wholesale change of this team. Because I think losing Porzingis, even though he was lost before the playoffs really started, and he couldn't get over whatever illness he was dealing with, that was part of your undoing. And to be without him in his entirely next year, that changes this team much bigger way than I think anyone wants to let on right now.
Well, all right. Are you better than Cleveland if you don't have Tatum?
No.
If you don't have Tatum, let's just say Tatum and Porzingis. And
I don't know if you were better than Cleveland with Tatum and Brown.
I think you were.
Okay. Are you better than the Knicks without Tatum and without either Porzingis or Holiday or White?
Depends on how they wind up with the head coaches, whatever. On paper, you just look at the roster, the Knicks are better.
Okay. Are you better than the Bucks?
I'm not sure.
Because you're better than Indiana, you'd agree, right?
Yes.
Without Halliburton?
I think you're better than the Bucks. You're not going to have Lillard around for most of the season.
All right. Are you better than the Pistons?
Yeah. For another year.
Yeah.
See, I don't think you're better than the Pistons, but it's close.
It's close.
Are you better than the Magic?
I'm not. I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Do you think they have a reasonable chance to win a title?
No.
Okay. So if that's the case, then I think you get rid of Brown. But this does make it more interesting. Halliburton being out, because then you really got to figure Indiana's struggling.
The East is really wide open.
But if you don't think you can win a title, because if you don't think you can win a title, it's time. Then I would make the big move. and be like Oklahoma City. But you already have a star in place who's in his prime. So I still am in favor of moving Brown, but I have a feeling they think that they can still compete.
With Brown and Derek White as your top two, and that certainly seems to be the way it's trending at this point, you're certainly good enough to win. Certainly be good enough to go over 500, certainly good enough to win 45, 46 games and get home court in the first round of the playoffs. Beyond that, nothing is guaranteed. But Orlando is certainly better. Cleveland's certainly better. Detroit's on a par with them. We saw the youth and how that team is on the come up. But, yeah, that's where I think the Celtics slot in, if you keep Brown and White.
Yeah, because unless there's a big change, it doesn't really appear like anyone's great in the East. So there is that could make you hang on to Brown and try to, like, get a lottery ticket into, like, the Indiana situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Luck your way into the finals.
That's the danger, because you just saw Indiana's roster was fine, not great, and look where they wound up. I think if Halliburton's healthy, they win that game last night.
Oh, I agree. It's certainly a lot closer. Yeah. I mean, when Halliburton got hurt, they were still up at the half. I mean, there was games where there was a game where Halliburton was basically hurt and they won.
Yep.
So it is interesting. The East is just so weak and the West is so good. And the West just keeps getting better. Because Oklahoma City's going to be better next year than they were this year. More experienced. The Stars have another year under their belt.
And Houston, who finished second, is also going to be better.
But just think, Fred, if you can figure out a way to keep both Tatum and Brown, you're going to be that rarest of things in the NBA with two star players on your team.
But other teams will beat you with their depth. That's the problem.
Well, that's the thing.
You're going to have to invest all your time, energy, and efforts in figuring out the depth with guys who aren't making a lot of money and getting the most out of them.
That's the problem, though. You don't have a center. As soon as you get rid of Porzingis, you don't have a center. And if say you bring Horford back, great. He wasn't playing back-to-backs last year.
Yeah.
And he's going to be 40. I mean, how many minutes can he play a game? 20? Less?
In addition to being able to have both those guys, if you can figure out a way to do it, I'm still reluctant to bank everything on Tatum's return and him being the same guy.
Well, but the thing is this, is you talk about you need depth. All right, well, with Tatum and Brown, that's very hard to acquire. If you get rid of Brown, the return, you got to remember, you're not just dumping the salary. It's not a Devers situation where you're just dumping salary. You're getting a ton of futures back. And then you're gonna have the wherewithal to make trades. You're gonna have the wherewithal you have future assets that you're gonna be able to move around. You'd get young talent in return. I mean, certainly get young depth talent and draft capital. That's what you would get for him. And how do you build a deep team around a star? Draft capital and young affordable depth.
The story from the weekend is the Celtics want a package that's pretty insurmountable from any team for either Brown or White at this point. But the value for Jaylen Brown, if you're going to go that way, will never be higher than it is right now, based on that Bane trade I was telling you about. I mean,
what are they saying that they want from the Celtics? Have they given any kind of idea, or is it just
the only word you hear back is insurmountable? And look, if you can get 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane, how much can you get for Brown? 5, 6, 7? I mean, that's what we're talking about here. If the Celtics want to go that way, they'll never get a bigger haul for Jaylen Brown than you would this summer.
Where are you at with that?
I keep going back and forth. Right now, I
want
to
pick
keep
one, John.
I know he's such a fence sitter. Have a take.
Let me
Don't
finish.
Suck.
You interrupted
what is up?
me.
The worst caller of the year. This is not going to win the smack off. Have an opinion. Stick to it.
Right now, I want to keep him.
Filibuster.
Now, I want to keep him. Because when he gets back and when Tatum gets back, they can make a run at this thing. It certainly get to the NBA Finals.
In 2 years.
In 2 years,
But
yes.
you like the idea of a haul, too.
I do like the idea of a haul, but right now, I like Jaylen Brown staying here.
I like Brown. I like a haul. I like Cheez-Its, too.
Yeah, you're not up. Adam can't get your board up.
Damn it!
Adam can't.
12!
He's got to be on the money.
It's too late.
I don't know. He's touching everything now.
What's going on?
I don't know. He's just shaking his
Everything's
head.
fine now. Things were a little wonky for a few seconds there, but everything's okay now.
There's wonkiness on the golf show this weekend, too.
Yeah, Blind Scott, he was coming hard and heavy. I didn't read one of them.
Dead air during the commercials.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you're going to have to make those up.
Wait, isn't Beaton in charge of that?
He is the executive producer of the Sports Hub Golf Club, but he was not on site.
Well, do you think anyone of the advertisers, one of our salespeople, might be in their parking lot and they could dig in the seats to see if there's any change they could pay him back for the advertisement that didn't run?
Are you saying that advertising the Sports Hub Golf Club is a value affair?
I think it's affordable. See, for it's like long-term health insurance. It's just for like a price of a cup of coffee. You buy yourself that kind of stuff. Believe me, I saw you at the Travelers. Did you go back to the Travelers?
I wanted to. I couldn't. It did not work out over the weekend.
Yeah, because he was planning to go back on Saturday. We were out at the Travelers in Hart, which was, by the way, they were very lovely to us.
It was hard to keep him focused, though. It was.
He was all right. But I'll tell you this: he brought his binoculars. Don't worry about it. But the thing is that I saw the respect that he gets.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you get the head pro at the Travelers to come out and sit down. Like him and Hardy, first name basis.
Director of golf of TPC River Highlands.
Director of golf at TBC River Highlands.
Don't bust him down a rank like that. Not the head pro. He's director of golf.
Oh, so he's in the whole shebang. Members, guests, everything.
Well, that would be the general manager.
Oh, so I get
yeah, dummy.
So now you just promoted him. First you busted him a rank, and then you promoted him.
Oh, okay. You're going to have to create like almost a militaristic guide.
Can I tell you something?
Why don't they wear stars on their sleeve?
That's a good point.
I felt bad about that interview that we had. Do you remember the question I asked?
Yes, of course. Which one?
Eric Cole was the player who sat down with us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When we weren't on the air.
Portions of it did not air due to the line being down. But I asked him, I said, you had a top 5 finish earlier in the year. I said, do you remember the stroke differential between you and first place? And he's like, oh, is that the one Scotty won? I'm like, yeah, it was like 14 strokes. And the question, and I think it's a valid question. I just think I'm kind of a dick for asking it. Essentially, I said, do you feel like there is like another level of play out here that you're not at?
I do remember that question.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a dick question?
No.
I kind of felt bad about it afterwards.
No. I think he knows who he is.
To say to a guy the day before a tournament starts, though, to ask him that type of question?
No, he answered it well. He's like, if guys like Scheffler or whoever else he named are on their game and playing their best golf.
You were listening.
I was there.
Yeah.
I'm there to make pithy comments. I have to be on the ball in case someone screws up and I can make fun of them. And so he said, if guys like Scheffler are on their game, that they're really unbeatable. You got to wait for a tournament where they're not on fire. And then take your chance.
Yeah, both of his parents played pro golf. He knows what the story is.
Yeah, he's also an extraordinarily tiny man. Woof. He would be a twink if there ever was one in the gay community.
Maybe that's what we should have asked him.
Well, there's no question. Ask him. You'd just be stating the sky's blue. I mean, that guy might 5'7", $110. I mean, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
He had to withdraw on the final day.
Oh, is that right? Why?
Illness.
Oh, because he was in the hunt. I texted Hardy. Cole was in the hunt there for a while. He was, hovering around top 10 status there on Saturday.
No, I think you're thinking of the guy we didn't get.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
It's always the guy we didn't get with you, John.
That's too bad.
It's always the missed opportunity. It's never what we did. It's what we didn't do. That's John. All right. Well, listen. No, I wouldn't worry about that question at all. I understand that you felt bad about it. There's still things I've asked people I'd feel bad about. I would not with that. You seem to ask it earnestly.
You were talking about Austin Eckroat, who shot a 62 in the opening round.
Ah,
yeah.
We were supposed to have him, but we
stupid.
didn't. That fell through.
God, you're an idiot. Imagine getting Cole and Eckroat mixed up. Real fool, this one. All right.
Sorry, Hardy.
All right. So we'll
bad.
be back. Boy, the Boston Prime down 5-0. Top of the second. Not looking good for this tournament, I'll tell you.
What's the name of their team?
Boston Prime Navy. Boston Prime Navy Blue.
So if he wins, he has 3 games and 100
He's not
heat
pitching
tomorrow. If his team wins, he's got 3 games on 100 degree heat
It's a
tomorrow.
single elimination affair. They had their group play. They went 3-0 in their group play. Now this is, I believe, if they don't win this game, they're out of the tournament.
Okay.
But they're the higher seed. I mean, like they're like a 4 seed. I don't know how this could be happening. 5-0.
3-0 and they're 4 seed.
Yeah, there was like an insane amount of teams. All right, we'll be right back.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox lost to San Francisco yesterday, 9-5 at Oracle Park. They wind up losing 2 of 3 to the Giants over the weekend. Their road trip continues tonight on the West Coast against the Angels. Sox yesterday called up pitcher Richard Fitz from Worcester and placed Hunter Dobbins on the injured list with an elbow strain. The Oklahoma City Thunder are NBA champions this morning. They beat Indiana in Game 7 last night, 103-91. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 29 points. He was voted Finals MVP. Star point guard Tyrese Halliburton left in the first quarter with an Achilles injury for Indiana. Phoenix traded Kevin Durant yesterday. They sent him to Houston for Jalen Green. Dylan Brooks, the 10th overall pick in this week's draft, and 5 second-round selections. And Keegan Bradley wins the Travelers Championship by 1 shot.
Cough it up, and let's get back to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
I've got a major announcement. Yesterday, a buddy of mine, a neighbor, asked if my son would be willing to help him out tomorrow because they're hosting a big party and he wants my son to stand out on the street and direct traffic, show people where to turn in, where to park in the back. And I said to him, do you honestly think I'm going to let my son do that job without me?
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, and Hardy's on this show, and he's someone who is just in all earnestness telling me off the air that he goes to bed reliving the rounds of golf that he had played the day before his slumber. He was telling me about all the details and about some guy with a big penis and everything else that they were playing with.
That's a hell of a story right there.
But Hardy, that was a video you put up that went viral. So you have a neighbor. Hardy lives on a cul-de-sac. He has neighbors that talk to him. It's a whole scene right out of Mayberry. Neighbors that talk to each other. It's foolishness is what it is. But they become some kind of like one key party away from all having kids with each other. But the thing is that what you had a neighbor.
You know what, you would honestly think that, and I wouldn't fault you for thinking that, because one neighbor in particular, we have the open door policy with them. It's like if you're coming over, you don't knock, you just walk in, and that goes both ways. And that is yes. If you allow your mind to go that way, you'd think that is just a breath away from a fishbowl situation.
Well, we've talked about it before. It's not so much that, but when and you live a little too close to a city, like when this usually happens is like, and they're younger couples generally too. Like younger couples with like little kids will move to like kind of a far out suburb where they have nothing to do.
Hingham.
So. For instance, Hingham. But that's different because they wouldn't even have to be with each other because they go to that restaurant. But you live in this far out suburb, and it becomes, and there's like 4 couples, 5 couples that all hang out together all the time. All the doors are open. It gets very incestuous. Soon enough, like you're drinking all the time. Soon enough, like someone hooks up. Maybe then someone else hooks up. Then all of a sudden, 2 people fall in love. Now people are going to move. Because if you have 3 groups of people that hook up, one of those groups, there's a likelihood, are going to start to like each other more than they like their current partners.
And somebody has to move, because if it goes on for too long, then everyone starts to look the same. You get the small hands and feet.
And I have one friend who was the victim of that.
Pronounced foreheads.
I have one friend. It's got to go outside of the circle of relation. But I have one friend who was the victim of that. And I have one friend who moved from an area because they didn't want to participate in what was going on, and it was getting ugly. Like people showing up in the middle of the night at other people's houses, screaming and yelling, drunk.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what happens, because you've built a powder keg. Like what at one point seems paradise. Everyone's climbing the trees and eating the coconuts. They're enjoying the local fish. And then all of a sudden you have Lord of the Flies. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this neighbor in particular he's an honorary, he and his family are honorary members of the street. They actually live across the street, but it's a compound situation they've got over there. The family owns 3 houses right next to each other.
Wow.
A lot of land, an acreage, as they call it back in Brasky. And they were hosting a reception at one of the homes. And he had told me, I saw him on Friday night. I had walked across the street to hand deliver one of my daughter's thank you notes, saving a stamp whenever I can. And I knew he was over there.
No, plus you get to chew the fat.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Something.
So what you doing? What's going on?
Something to do. Well, they're all
put your hand in your pockets and kick the dirt in front
of you. They're all sitting around outside at the fire pit going, having a couple of cocktails. It's like, I'm not going to join you, but I'll sit here for a chin wag, for a moment. And he asked me, I said, hey, does Calvin want to make a few bucks? I need someone to wave cars in, to the part of the yard where they're actually going to be driving in off the street. And I've got the parking set up, and I was legitimately insulted and feelings hurt a little bit that he didn't ask me to do it. Now I know why he didn't ask me.
Why he didn't ask you, because you're a grown man.
Because I'm a grown man. But it was not surprised at all when I offered up my services gratis just for the opportunity to be a part of this situation.
Yeah.
So we did go over and we did the recon ahead of time. And he had already painted the lines, and he had painted parking lines in the back. I wasn't thrilled with the parking lines that he painted. I would have gone a little more angular down
What
the
did he paint it
right-hand
with,
side.
chalk?
He had some kind of a spray gun thing. It wasn't chalk. It
What
was
the hell's going on over there?
what?
Not adequately prepared.
No,
for
but
the
why
task.
is he making parking spots and things?
Because he was going to have like 30 or 40 cars parking in his mother's part of the property, and if you don't have lines, then it's mayhem, unless you have someone there to help out and do a little directing. Okay. Now there's two groups. There were the overnight people and just the reception people. So here's how we split it up. I put Calvin out on the street with his walkie-talkie. I said, when you wave the car in,
John, get up out there on the street. Go work that pavement. Johnny boy. Come on, Wallach. Come on, Wallach. You want that candy? You got to pay at the candy store.
the candy store.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's code for heroin.
If you're
And by pay, you can pay one way. Reach in your pocket or reach into mine.
You don't pay the candy store.
You pay
They're
the
bringing
candy
them the
store.
candy.
No, you bring the candy to the candy store. You either you. I reach into your pocket. You reach into your own pocket. You give me the money, or you reach in my pocket and make me feel real good.
There was no candy. What it was Calvin on the street. I instructed him to stop the car. I said, find out if they're overnight or if they're just staying for the party.
Of course.
And then let me know what kind of car was coming in. So we practiced.
You
know,
practiced?
we practiced when we were driving around for the next day and like walking down the street. I said, if that car is pulling in, what are you going to say? Black car. No, black SUV. Oh. If you see that one, what do you say? Gray car. No, gray minivan.
Poor Calvin.
All right.
Because there'll be a bunch of gray cars zipping up the driveway. You got to have that split-second decision as to what kind of car goes
Wait, so
where.
he's making a list? Like of the cars?
I just wanted him to describe to me what car was going to be coming over the hill.
Oh, on the walkie-talkie.
On the walkie-talkie.
Because there'll be so many of the same color.
Because you could need time to figure out where you're going to put them. So what you're saying is you needed a heads up, like, okay, SUV, this is going to need a bigger spot? Or why do you even have to know it all? That can't be just a...
Exactly.
You can't just figure that out on the fly.
I know.
Go stand on the top of the hill, boy, and help your brain-damaged father figure out this
We
parking
got to
thing.
make sure.
I understand your point.
Did you wear a vest at least that glowed?
Yeah.
Okay.
We both had vests on.
Okay.
We both had flags. These were flags that my daughter used to referee youth soccer for about 2 weeks.
What
before
was
she
the
got bored
lighting
with that.
situation? Were you able to wear the flashlight to wave people around, or what was going on?
Unfortunately, the arrival time was between 5 and 6 p.m.
Oh, that's
and
too bad.
No secondary illumination was needed. There were only 2 incidents. Number one, a guy pulled in, blew right past me, did not even stop as I was like waving the flag, and then just sat in the middle of everything. And boy, do we have some conversations about him. The 2 cars that came in after him, I held him up and I said, okay, eventually I'm going to have you park right back there, right behind the black F-150 you see over there. He's like, yeah, what's this guy doing? Hey, I wish I knew. I wish I knew what Honda Accord was doing down there. But he's just sitting. He's a scofflaw. He just blew past the flags. So he's gumming up the whole works here.
Yeah, it's those entitled Honda Accord guys. It's old money is the problem.
There was one bridesmaid who defied Calvin's flag and just parked on the front lawn
now
of
we
the
know why
mother's
she's
house.
not married.
Well,
like she's some barren loser.
I'm like, hey, I know that you're part of the the wedding party here and everything, but rules are rules. You know, you just can't go off on your own. I'd let it go. I didn't chase.
Did
it
anyone
down.
tip you in all seriousness?
No one tipped me.
No one offered you money.
No one offered.
How about
me
Calvin?
Calvin is still awaiting payment, and he's asked me about it several times.
You got to get a
Interesting.
You got to get a baseball bat over there.
Well, then we'll take care of that today. But then there was the one guy.
Listen, pay Calvin, you cheap bastard.
Now there was the one guy at the very
Not everyone
end.
has property their parents bought them.
I directed him to where he was supposed to park, and then he was a groomsman, and another groomsman came out and said, no, just back in right there. And at that point, I threw up the flag. I said, well, if you sons of bitches aren't even going to pay attention to me, what am I doing here? And I said, come on, boy, we're done.
Were you armed? At least a flare gun.
No, I had zip tie handcuffs.
Did you really?
And rocks.
Okay.
Rocks
Oh,
in my.
you were riding in the Middle East.
In
I
my,
see.
my cargo short
I
pockets.
see. Very good. You were like an ineffective rider. All right, very good. We'll be back in just a moment with our friend Jared Weiss.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Save at Whole Foods Market. Get 20% off no antibiotics ever, 80% lean ground beef with Prime through June 24th. Grill this protein as juicy burgers or tender kebabs. While supplies last, shop in-store or online. Terms apply.
Hey, it's Dakota. Right now on swingjuice.com.
lead the home team. Rafael Devers 1 for 3 as the DH. Red Sox open up a 3-game series with the Angels late tonight. The team has also placed Hunter Dobbins on the injured list with an elbow strain and called up pitcher Richard Fitz. Thunder won their first NBA championship since the franchises moved to Oklahoma City last night. This is care of a 103-91 home win over Indiana in Game 7 of the finals. League MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 29 points and 12 assists. He was voted Finals MVP as well.
The fun I had tonight, the moment was amazing. The fans were amazing, and it was so much fun. Exactly what I expected.
Pacers star Tyrese Halliburton left in the first quarter with an Achilles injury. The other big NBA story was that Phoenix traded Kevin Durant to Houston yesterday for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th overall pick in this year's draft, and 5 second-round picks. And in golf, Keegan Bradley made a 6-foot birdie putt on 18 to win the Travelers Championship by 1 shot over Tommy Fleetwood. Sports Hub headlines are powered by the commuter rail. Heading to Hozier tonight at Fenway. Don't be late battling traffic and parking. Just take the train to Lansdowne Station. Just a 3-minute walk to the park. Get your tickets now at the M-Ticket app. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Start your day.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Work through your day.
What's that thing we do at the end of the show?
And end your day.
I'm not giving you an opinion. I don't know.
Right here. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Why do people listen to Toucher and Hardy?
Because it's a thing.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
No idea what you're talking about.
Here's more of The Thing on the Sports Hub.
Thunder fans feel this moment. The uncommon young team proves to be unstoppable. It's over at Paycom Center. Final in Game 7. The Thunder 103. The Pacers 91.
Rocket science. Rocket science. Rocket science.
I know I'm not allowed to do play-by-play, but Boston Prime now 7-1. They've gotten on the board.
On the board. What inning are we?
Are you using the accounts and descriptions of that telecast
I'm just
and
giving a score.
rebroadcasting
I'm
them?
just giving a score. We're in the bottom of the third. We're all right.
All right.
I've seen stranger things have happened.
Do you have express written consent to be doing this?
I'm
right
not
now?
doing play-by-play. All I'll say is, whoa! All I'll say is, cha-ching, Boston Prime, Moneyball, ground out to third. No. All right. Listen, you just know that Oklahoma City won the NBA championship. Tyrese Halliburton's probably going to be out for the year. You know that Kevin Durant, a guy who had the same injury as Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton, it all just gets together in a big, fun tease. That he's been traded to the Houston Rockets. The East remains weak. Jared Weiss writes about the NBA for The Athletic. Jared, hello, sir.
I remain strong even if the East remains weak.
That's true. You are a man who can lift weight like there was no one.
60 pounds over his head.
Just like that. Like I saw him lift a television. All right. So listen, Jared, does Oklahoma City, first of all, I ask you this, is this the beginning of like a mini dynasty in your opinion?
Yes, but also I said this to you a year ago when the Celtics won the championship. So who knows? I presume yes, because there's just nobody else positioned like they are in the league where their 3 big stars are all young and they're all are or about to be locked up to long-term deals. So, yeah, the Thunder should be good for a while, and they're even so good that if one of their guys got hurt, they probably would still be able to keep contending.
Okay, how did they build this team? Let's get into that. No, we don't have to get into great detail, but you know, they had a quote unquote super team. They, those pieces all went away, and now they have ultimately a championship team. How did they make that transition?
Well, great drafting, obviously, where you get J-Dub, which was just like one of the steals of the decade there, where they drafted this guy that I wrote about it the other day on The Athletic. J-Dub wasn't even projected to be in the first round before the draft season started that year. That was, 3 years ago? And then he did well at the combine. He kept rising through the ranks. They took him really high. And he probably would have gone like second or third in that draft if they had to do it all over again. Like, it was an incredible pick by them. So to nail Chet Holmgren at the top of that of the draft, to get that J-Dub pick right, that really set them on their course, because Shea was going to be good, but you need to surround him with a couple other great players. And the Thunder weren't going to sign people in free agency. They had to build through the draft. And what's so crazy about the Thunder's experience is that they had like a million draft picks, right? They haven't used that many of them. Like they still have a lot of draft picks. Using all those draft picks wasn't a big part of their strategy. They never packaged it to trade for a big star or anything like that. They still have a lot of flexibility to play with, but they just kind of nailed all these picks along the way. And then this offseason, they got Hartenstein and Caruso, like two really, really crucial role players who play a couple different roles for them, and they do it at a very high level. And so they really built through depth and drafting, or I guess in Shea's case, trading very early in his career, but effectively drafting just really great players that are committed to the culture, and their culture was just phenomenal. And that's what Sam Presti's been always so good with.
Didn't they get both Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams as part of that Paul George trade? I'm trying to remember. They got like 18 first-round picks for Paul George, and one of them, I think, was Jalen Williams.
I mean, as we're seeing with the Celtics, you make that one great trade, and that just sets your fate. It just sets you on the course of history with the Celtics. You know, that Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett trade.
Yeah.
It got them the picks that were Tatum and Brown. With OKC, they get Shea. They get the picks that they turn into these guys. Like, it's all about that first great move. It's all about having the foresight to be like, I'm going to pivot out of this era, and I'm going to do it in a way that brings me such tremendous value that I'm going to be able to knock singles and doubles out of the park over and over again. And all of a sudden, we have this big core.
Okay, so one of the things I heard this morning in the post-championship analysis, Jared, was the discussion of this Oklahoma City Big Three versus the old Big Three, the Russell Westbrook, the James Harden, and the Kevin Durant. Do you really think of this team currently as being anything close to being a Big Three? Now, obviously, they have more success, but it's a changed landscape in the NBA. And beyond SGA, what do you think of this team in terms of its star power?
It's not a big three in that same sense. I think of it as like two guys who are the offensive leaders, and then they have a great defensive player. And, you know, who knows how good Chet is going to be, because Chet, he came into that draft, they were projecting him to be a franchise-level player. And offensively, he's not there, and we'll see how that evolves. And he certainly has a potential to get to being an all-star caliber offensive player. But defensively, he's just phenomenal. And so, you know, I guess it could be a big three in the sense that they have three players that will eventually be great. Right now, I don't think it's quite at that level. And I think the difference is, back then, teams wanted 3 stars and a bunch of like okay role players. Now teams are looking for a big star, a complementary star, and then a bunch of high-end role players who would be kind of borderline franchise guys on other teams. And we saw Boston do that last year. Denver did that before. And now Oklahoma's doing that. Every team is kind of doing it. Teams are no longer doing what Phoenix just tried and failed to do, which is like starve all of your cap situation, all of your talent into 3 established superstars. And the reason for that mostly is that teams have to change a lot, and teams have to pay a lot to these stars, and it's just kind of hard to build your cap structure around 3 super max level guys.
Okay, so what does this teach the Celtics? They're in a cap situation that they need to fix. They're a team with 2 superstars, one of whom who's most likely out for a year. What if you're the Celtics? What lessons do they take from this new version of the NBA?
They were the ones that were leading it. They already learned their lesson. They were doing this last year. Them and the Thunder have a ton of similarities to the way these teams are structured and operated. So there's not much to learn from the Celtics. It just kind of reemphasized the plan and the approach they had for last season's championship team is the way to go. The Celtics, I think, more so are learning from the Tyrese Halliburton injury, and they're seeing, like everyone else is, that the East is very depleted right now. And the Celtics are one of the teams that's depleted because of the Tatum injury. But it does at least maybe remind you that the conference balance of power is going to be controlled by injuries as much as anything. And the Celtics are victims of that. But it means that in the future, they're also going to benefit from that as they have in the past.
It's the NBA draft, believe it or not, is Wednesday night. How do the Celtics, now that we're past the finals?
Wait, well, if you're moving on, then I don't want to do that. I want to go to ask Jared, where are they now in the East without Tatum? And say they lose Porzingis and Holiday, and they don't have Tatum. So Tatum, Porzingis, and Holiday are not on the team this year. Can they compete in the East?
No, I think they're probably a bottom of the pack playoff team, if not a play-in team at that point. It depends on how they offload Holiday and Porzingis, but like they're going for a talent dump. It seems like if they're trying to just get off those guys and just save money. So, in all likelihood, they're looking at a team fighting for the 6th seed spot because you're going to have Detroit, Orlando moving up. Cleveland's probably going to stay in the mix. So that's 3 teams there. New York is a 4th team. And then that's when things get like a little bit hairy of how do you Indiana, are they still going to be a playoff caliber team? Who's going to move up from the play-in zone? Is Atlanta going to take a step forward next year if they're healthy? So I think the Celtics are probably fighting down in that pack at that point.
Okay, so do you move Brown because you're not going to be competing next season? And do you move Brown for a big package to, thereby in a year or two get that kind of depth that you're looking for, affordable depth?
I would say no. I think that people are kind of underrating Jaylen Brown all over again because he was hurt last year. He was the Finals MVP 2 seasons ago.
No, but I don't think that's fair because you cannot be underrating him. You can be saying this is a great player with great value. This is an NBA where 2 stars aren't needed. You just said it. You need to be 10 deep. For Brown, you could acquire picks and, young rotational players, and you could kind of fix things on the fly.
You still need multiple high-end offensive scorers, and if you get rid of Jaylen, then you're looking at D. White as your secondary guy, and I don't think D. White is at that level, so I think you still need a player like Jaylen. And also, I think the big thing here is there's 2 things that I think are going to determine their timeline. It's one, do they think Tatum could come back in time for the postseason next year, which is because his injury happens in May. It's like it's possible he could be back in April. So they have to do one, are we potentially going to have a better team in the postseason and make a run in the postseason? And then 2, what's the long-term future after that? It is 1 season of Tatum being out, whether or not he plays next year at all. But then Tatum's back, and then you still have 2 stars in their prime, and you still have a good enough team in its prime to contend. So you don't want to punt on the rest of this window that's still here after Tatum comes back. So I think it mostly comes down to their evaluation of what Tatum's return timeline is going to be, and then do they really want to hold on to Jaylen into his early 30s? But I don't think you need to rush into people look at so much as like you want to get all these things by trading away Jaylen Brown, but you also lose the thing that's hardest to get, which is a player of Jaylen Brown's caliber. And I just don't think you get rid of the guys like that because you can't find them again. And you don't want to be a team where it's like Jason Tatum's your best player, then you have this big gap in secondary elite level creation and scoring until you get to guys like Derek White, other players of that caliber.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I'm hesitant to move on from Jaylen Brown, because to find another player like him, and the idea would be to find the next Jaylen Brown who is not already at that level, and you don't have to pay him that money because you're conceivably going to already be paying Jason Tatum. But to draft that guy again, to have somebody who is going to ascend to that level again, to do it for a second time in a relatively short amount of time, it's not that they're not capable of doing it. It's just that the odds are stacked against you, and you're not doing it in a vacuum. There's 30 other teams trying to do exactly the same thing.
All right.
It's not happening. You're not drafting another all-NBA player, especially when you're not tanking and getting to the top of the draft. If they could trade Jaylen for like Cooper Flagg, then like sure, go for it. That would be a good idea. If you could trade him for Dylan Harper and send him to the Spurs, that's a much more difficult but possible conversation. But you're not dumping Jaylen Brown for a good package. You're only getting rid of Jaylen Brown if you think you're clearly getting another Jaylen Brown, which is incredibly hard to do.
All right. Well, there you go, Jared Weiss. Enjoy the off season, and maybe the Celtics are going to start screwing around here and getting rid of guys, and then we're going to need you lickety split. All right.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be back here in 2 weeks talking about this trade and that trade.
Absolutely. All right, Jared. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jared. See ya.
Thank you, fellas.
All right. There you go. I want them to trade Brown so there's something to talk about.
Yeah.
You had Belichick, then you had Devers, and now you get me Brown, and we're coasting through, baby.
Celtics are going to make some moves real soon. As I said, the draft is Wednesday. The free agency starts right after that. I mean, the Celtics will be front and center.
All right. That's it. Well, John, I hope you're not taking any vacation.
What are you doing for the draft, Johnny?
Oh, having people over. You know what? We're having cars park in the backyard. We got lines down and everything. It's going to be great.
I don't think he really is. That's happening.
Well, we have to believe that he knows that many people would want to go to his house, that he would necessitate off-street parking.
And that makes 2 people in the world that need that, which makes it very sad for me. I don't like the idea that that's happening. All right. We'll be back in just a moment with our award-winning segment.
You're listening to
a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Hey, it is the email bit. What are you laughing at?
Nick did a video of us talking about Scott Zolak and the incident from last week, and it includes video of Scott leaving the studio at the moment of truth when he said there was about to be an incident. You just wait for it to come up here. You'll enjoy this as he gets up from his chair, takes the headphones off mid-segment, and
oh, there he goes. He's walking on stilts. Hachi machi. All right. Here we go. This is from Mike from Stoneham. Hey, Toucher and Hardy, loyal listener here, but I'm about to lose it. One of our streams has been hijacked by a relentless commercial, he says. It is funny. When I did listen to that one podcast, Once a Time at Bennington College, they did another one called Once Upon a Time in the Valley. So those are the two podcasts that I've listened to really in the last 5 years. But it's such a JV operation, and it's an Odyssey podcast, and it's such a JV operation that every break of every one, first of all, you just fast forward it, but I would get to the last 5 seconds of the commercial, go, and it's just a promotion for another. It's a promo for another one of their podcasts, not even an ad,
right?
And it's college is supposed to be the most important 4 years of your life. What if there was a scandal? It's the worst read, and no one's paying attention to it, and no one's doing anything, and you finally got something going on, and that's the deal. Here's one. Douglas, mommy and daddy are in town, so you become an overbearing dung beetle. You were, what is he talking about? You were a dick to John.
Yeah.
He had a question about the draft, and Big Freddie just shut him down. Look at tough guy Freddie Daddy.
Yeah.
Why the two would just sit there and put up with your juvenile crap amazes most everyone who listens to you.
Me too.
Boy, he really took that to the heart, Johnny.
Yeah, it's because your mom and dad are in town and you're playing the alpha.
That's why you're being an ass.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that has nothing to do with it. Cesarean section is why I'm an ass. I'll tell you this. I've been laying in the cut today. I haven't been talking much at all.
Were you breastfed?
I mean, when I was in my teens.
Freddie, this comes from Frank. You said something in passing that's been sitting and marinating with me. You mentioned that you were at somebody's place who you hold in high regard, and they had substandard toilet tissue. When did you do this?
I don't that wasn't me.
No, it wasn't me either.
It wasn't me.
Well, the whole rest of his email talks about how you struggle to do that at the office, but you have no problem doing it at someone's home.
No, I haven't taken a dump at someone's house in I don't know when.
He does say, he goes on to say, I have a buddy who will come over for dinner, and like clockwork, napalms my downstairs bathroom. It has led to conversations with my wife after he leaves. There have to be rules when it comes to hanging stakes at other people's homes. We're all grown-ups living in a society thanking us for our time.
All right, very good. Andrew says, sorry, thanks for reading my email today. Can I get the name of that song? Is it Michael Jackson? Is it the Nature Things or something? Let me tell you. Please let me know. He's talking about when we were talking about SWV.
Oh, yes.
And we were playing Human Nature
by
Michael Jackson, the sample that is in that song. So there you go. Freddie T's nuts, Sean says. Hello, hearing you wax nostalgic about my old neighborhood just warmed my heart. This is talking about the area around Clark University. Wallach was spot on with his assessment of the former and current state of the neighborhood. There's a reason Freud only made one visit to America, because he looked around at Clark and its faculty, students, and surroundings. I believe he said, no way would I ever come back to America if these people are what they call academics. That is Shannon from Worcester. I indeed was in Worcester in the Clark University area.
Yep.
And that is not a nice area.
I'll never forget when I took a tour of Clark University, the tour guide said, now, you never want to leave campus. Don't leave campus at any time, especially after the sun goes down.
That was part of the tour?
That was part of the tour.
He said you don't want to leave campus when the sun goes down?
That's exactly what he said to me.
Wow, and I think you have to live on campus.
Yep.
Oh, so he said it's a dangerous neighborhood.
Yes.
Well, he was overselling it. I mean, he knew that you were in the drug game, so he was just trying to get you to get in on it with him.
Yep.
Yeah, that was funny. It was funny because it was like, this is a D3 school. I imagine it's like not cheap to go there. I would imagine, it's a small college. It's of some acclaim. It's like authors, like they just said. I guess Freud had been there. Maybe I don't think that was a lie. And so you just see it, and you're like, my God, they had a nice baseball stadium. Like it's just like, wow, this isn't Worcester's not nice around here.
No.
But neither was Leominster, so there you go.
The Worcester that they blew apart to build that new ballpark wasn't necessarily very good either.
Yeah, I have very little familiarity with the Worcester area, but I did see when I go. Here was my problem with Leominster, is that when I drive that far in Boston, I expect quaint. I expect like a quaint New England country town with barns and like a general store,
sure,
and a bunch of rules. You know what I'm saying? Like weird rules where if you buy the house, you can't like touch the paint or like,
can't build a fence.
Yeah, this piece. Yeah, right. Or you can't take down the fence. Like, this fence has been around for 250 years.
Walls, only 4-foot high rock walls.
Right,
That's
exactly. So that's my thing is that I expect that. So when you go out to an area and it's just like kind of dumpy, you're just like, 50 miles away from Boston.
Yep.
Why isn't this a quaint New England town? How did it become crappy? That's the thing that you worry about. It's just like Farmington Hills. It's just like it's like whatever. Boo. Now listen, Leominster was much nicer than when Clark University was, which was a total dump, if I may be so bold as to say.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what else? All right, John, why don't you just take over the segment considering I interrupted you
Hey, guys.
in such a rude way?
This is, and it's interesting, I always get a flurry of emails at this time of year. The back-to-back champion New England Free Jacks won the Eastern Conference Final today. They're playing in the championship match for the third year in a row. Please, for the love of all that is holy, at least mention them at some point this week. Please.
Who are the Free Jacks?
Rugby.
Why would we mention that? Why do they want it mentioned?
Didn't you reply to that guy over the weekend?
No, I don't think. I didn't reply to any emails. I replied to someone who asked me what the book, The Goldfinch, by Donna Tartt.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't. I was busy this weekend. I was, not busy moving, but busy sitting in the sun was what I was doing all weekend. My parents here. You heard that condescending email trying to get me mad that didn't work because it was so stupid. It was written to bother me. And I read it just to illustrate your lame attempt did not work.
You remain wholly unbothered.
I'm unbothered. I'm watching Game Changer. Leave me alone.
Okay, so we were talking about Zolak earlier, how he had the incident last week where he had to leave the studio right away. That led to him telling the story about, or me telling the story about him and the pie and the Honey Pot Hill.
We got a Honey Pot Hill situation.
Right. So there's two things that we have come across here. Number one, is this Zoe telling the story himself, the Honey Pot Hill story?
Yes, the 38-second is him telling the story.
Do you want
you were doing such a good job of it earlier, we didn't think you needed it.
Okay, well, if we don't need that. But someone did email and say, because we were talking about how...
Play him doing the Honey Pot story.
Okay.
I would like to hear it.
That's cool.
I'd like to hear it from
Honey Pot Orchards?
Honey Pot, is that them still?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
My sweats, I'm
I'm
driving out there. I'm on a 25-minute drive.
Yeah.
I can't find a dunk. I can't find a gas station, nothing. And this back road's like through Sudbury, and I'm like, I can't find one anywhere.
Side of the road.
And then bang, there was the orchard there. And they had a nice little market in there. And two high school girls sitting outside. It was not busy at all, and they're just sitting there. And I'm like, the bathroom's over there, and I'm like, running the bathroom, like, you guys sell pies in there? They're like, sure, come on in. I'm like, I had it after the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom. It was so bad. I had to run back to the car. I couldn't go back in there because it was bad.
I just got a text message from a friend of mine. It says, I just saw the Zoe reel. I went to that guy's house on Halloween and accepted candy. My parents live uncomfortably close to him. His septic system wise. Uncomfortably close to him septic system wise. I'm traumatized.
Well, this led to the whole discussion about how there's always food going in or food coming out, and sometimes it's in the form of vomit. I said he vomits more than anyone I know over the age of 2 that I've ever known in my entire life. Anthony emailed in. He said, I'm shocked he didn't pull the audio of Zoe projectile vomiting in the middle of an ad read when he was working from home.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Oh, you haven't heard this?
No.
Oh, I've heard it.
If QC Kinetics a shot, it's regenerative medicine. They take your own body's healing agents, put them right back into your body. So book your appointment today. QC Kinetics, 617-644.
I would have remembered hearing that before.
The funniest thing is it's for something that's supposed to make you feel better. Like it's.
You can hear it.
QC Kinetics, 617-644.
You can kind of hear it coming before it actually
Yeah.
happened.
He's struggling there.
It was on the verge.
Yeah, he's in big trouble there.
I've seen you, Fred.
Oh, yeah.
There was one time we were still in Brighton where I was looking right at you, and you almost did that right.
Well, there was time I did puke, but not in the studio.
No.
Winger was in, Kip Winger and the guitar player, and they were being cool, and like we were having a good time. But we had done the drinking game the night before, and I was so hungover that, and for whatever reason, because we drank on that show, we used to drink during the show when we were on in the afternoons. Almost every show we would drink. And for whatever reason, we didn't have alcohol or anything. And I went and I ran to the bathroom, and it was one of those things where as soon as I saw the toilet,
oh yeah,
like like whatever in my, I had been holding it for so long, and I felt like terrible because I threw up all over the place. But it was after work was over, and I'm not gonna get. What am I gonna? I don't have a mop, so I still feel bad for that because I threw up all over the stall, like all over the place. That was bad.
Worst things happened in that bathroom.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Adolfo got in trouble because he took a shower and made such a mess. The
shower on the second floor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I never saw once. I never saw that.
You didn't know where that was?
I went duty up there a couple times because you could hide, but I never saw the shower. I always thought it was like a urban legend, but it did exist because we got in trouble. We got in an odd amount of trouble for that. Like we did something to Adolfo, like we poured something on him or something, and and the cleaning people complained, and I was like, okay, and then like it didn't go away for a while, like it stuck around, like it was like annoying enough for me to remember it, because you get in trouble, a million times in your career, but that was one that I was just like, yeah, well, sorry, and then they were like, no, but. Like there has to be reparations made or something like that.
Consequences and restitution.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, well, I understand that the person's upset, and for that I apologize. Now it's time to move on to the next crisis. Can we please pivot here? I have things to say about Tim Tebow that really will shake things up. It was an interesting. That
was an interesting time to be around.
Well, I was reading this thing, and it was about how someone had kind of predicted the way this was all going to go back in the early '90s. Bret Easton Ellis, they say, kind of predicted this in American Psycho, because he references Trump like 28 times in American Psycho, and in the killer, the Patrick Bateman, he had a fixation with Donald Trump and was emulating him. And then there is also this notion of there will be a time in life where you are punished, actively punished, if you speak in a way that upsets people. So think about that just on being an American level. Like we live in a society where you are actively punished, like your job and whatever have you, for speaking in a way that people don't like. Which was not always the case. You could go around speaking. But you could say something. You could go, that doesn't matter. What he said was terrible. And it's like, yeah, true. We might all agree on that. But there are these like irrevocable, like career death sentences to people, or if they're not, a lot of this thing is you can't be canceled because these people don't get canceled. Yeah, but you're trying. Like what you're trying to do is, I've seen it. Let's go get them. All right, guys, let's go get them. Let's go do this. Like it's an active attempt to get someone fired. You're based on them saying things you don't like. And so this was all supposed to be predicted.
Gotcha.
You understand?
Yeah, I do.
Now go read American Psycho.
Okay.
It was considered trash by the New York Times. Liberal rag.
The failing New York Times.
The failing New York Times.
Sad.
It is sad. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox committed 2 errors yesterday, and that led to 5 unearned runs and a 9-5 loss in San Francisco. Romy Gonzalez, Rob Refsnyder, and Ceddanne Rafaela all homered for the Red Sox, but San Francisco scored 4 times in the bottom of the 7th inning to take the lead for good. Sox are 3-3 on a West Coast road trip. They'll visit the Los Angeles Angels tonight. Yesterday, they placed Hunter Dobbins on the injured list and called up Richard Fitz from AAA Worcester. At Game 7 of the NBA Finals, League MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 29 points and was voted Finals MVP. Oklahoma City beat Indiana in Game 7, 103-91. Phoenix traded Kevin Durant yesterday. They sent him to Houston for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the 10th overall pick this coming Wednesday night, and 5 second-round picks. And U.S. Ryder Cup captain Keegan Bradley won the Travelers Championship yesterday by 1 shot over Tommy Fleetwood. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Boston Prolotherapy. Don't let joint pain keep you off the court, course, or trail. Eliminate that pain with Dr. Franke of Boston Prolotherapy. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 10 o'clock.
It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. And as we finish things up, what's going on, Mr. Hardy?
Potential statewide bell-to-bell ban on cell phones in schools could get devices out of the classroom by September, according to a story by Molly Farrar in Boston.com. Attorney General proposed the Safe Technology Use and Distraction-Free Education Youth Act, known as STUDY, in January. And once again, the statewide ban in Massachusetts could come to schools this fall. Bell to bell, meaning you'd be able to take your cell phone to school, but then you turn it off, you're not allowed to use the phone.
It was already like that at my daughter's school. And she went to public middle school. Her last day is today.
My youngest is going into sophomore, junior, and they're making the change this year. Like the kids had access this past school year, and they're saying you won't have it next year.
She didn't. You had to put them in one of those packs, and then they had to demagnetized at the end of the day.
Wow.
So you were in a pack. I mean, they should do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand. They have a bunch of restrictions on things kids can't do. And if you're in school, that should certainly at least be that during that time you don't have your phone. If school was to have one job to do, maybe it would be for those hours you don't get your phone. That in some way we break this coming generation's habit, and the habit that we've all picked up as well, as I sit here with my phone in front of me, of going through our phones. Maybe everyone should go through that exercise.
We have another music collaboration here, this one between Motley Crue and Dolly Parton. Name the song.
It looks like they used AI to create an old concert clip.
And this certainly
this
isn't.
stuff sucks. I hate this stuff.
And it's certainly not Vince Neil singing.
No.
Well, not now. It's not him singing now.
It was him singing 30 years ago, but certainly not now. No, that's of no use to anyone. It's not. It's nothing.
It's part of the new Motley Crue Greatest Hits compilation. It is their 9th compilation, career-spanning compilation.
Motley Crue,
which matches the number of studio albums they have released.
Boy,
is there now? You're gonna have to think. Is there a band who's had a bigger career in music, not based on anything musical? For instance, Motley Crue are not a good band. That's inarguable. But they were famous.
Right.
And that's their biggest hit.
Yes.
And there's not another song.
I'll give you one.
Dr. Feelgood had a couple hits on it,
Yeah.
to be fair. But that was really their only album that was like a good album. Like the first album doesn't count because it was out on an indie. Shout at the Devil was a hit.
Uh-oh. Zolak is upset with
why
the
are you
Zolak's
here?
upset.
Why am I here? I'm getting ready to do our job. I'm with Zoe.
Uh-oh. They're upset because
You played that song. You
John.
played that.
No.
Oh,
They're-
that I laughed.
They're not upset that I played the Zoe throwing up audio. They're upset because John had never heard it before.
Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. My God, that's why you're angry? That's why the two of you were upset? Oh, give me a break. You're upset that I didn't hear it. So, I'm sorry. You should throw it more often. I would have heard it. My mistake.
That's not
Sorry.
helping.
That's
That's
not helping at all.
John.
Now you're just wishing ill upon the man.
What about, all right, here's another band, Kiss. Kiss is way more famous for being famous in a band than their music.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good one. Yeah, Kiss and Motley Crue. And they both like kind of see, Alice Cooper had good songs.
Yeah.
But the Alice Cooper band, so you can't do it because the Alice Cooper band wasn't even that famous. But
and Alice Cooper was around at a time where like a lot of those songs got played on the radio, where it's like 10 years later they wouldn't have. Like I keep coming back to like that's the one Motley Crue hit that probably got played on stations that weren't rock stations and probably still does.
They had
and they
stuff
had MTV.
on,
They
like
had a lot of stuff
Kickstart My
on
Heart,
MTV.
and they had stuff
but
on
those
MTV.
weren't like hits. They got played on rock radio, but they weren't like big crossover smash hits. Like Home Sweet Home was the other one. I'm agreeing with you here, and I'm just giving the musical argument as to why. Like that was you can't be known for your music first and foremost if you only had one crossover hit in the 80s, right?
Right. Like when I was a little kid, I got Shout at the Devil, And I remember getting it, and we were all like, wow, yeah, this is awesome. And coming home and thinking, this isn't awesome at all. Like, why do I have this? To the point when Theater of Pain came out, Todd Anderson gave it to me at Chuck E. Cheese at my birthday party. When I opened it, I saw it was a cassette of it. I threw it away. I threw it.
How old were you?
What, 9?
Did you do it in front of him?
Yeah. It was a big bit for the table. I didn't do it like I did it to be funny. It hurt his feelings, but it made everyone else laugh. You know what I'm saying? And that's my style of comedy.
For a touch, your origin story right there.
Find the
that's the opening scene in the biopic of his
Yes,
life.
absolutely.
Yeah, find the guy who's the least likely to respond, and then thoroughly punch down.
Sure.
To get the approval of everyone else around. That's my tactic.
We mentioned that Boston Calling will not be happening next year. It's going to return in 2027. And the reasons behind it, who knows? A different location. Maybe it was a lineup thing. Maybe they're scheduling issues. But part of it might also have to do with, boy, what happened at Bonnaroo this last weekend? They've offered full refunds to anyone who was hoping to attend last weekend's Bonnaroo because they canceled the whole thing due to extreme weather. The social media post said that that the organizers alluded to the dissatisfaction with the 75% refund they were offering to those who had 4-day tickets. Like, well, I missed 100% of what I was going to attend. Why would I get a 75% refund? So, anyway, that's the Bonnaroo was supposed to be Tyler, the Creator, Olivia Rodrigo.
No, we're seeing Tyler, the Creator. My daughter and I got 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tomorrow, Tyler, the Creator.
Oh, this is why.
TD Garden.
The first day of the festival did occur, but they canceled the last 3 days. You know what? The 75% refund actually makes sense now.
Yeah. And then you took 25. You got 25% of your entertainment.
Yeah.
You tell them all to go screw. All right, Scott Zolak takes a lot of dumps at apple orchards.
Honey Pot Hill.
My phone blew up.
What's that?
Did you run that this morning? My phone blew up this morning.
Yeah, because it was referenced on your show last week when you went up to take a dump.
I told him at 10:15 I got to go. And he said, "Well, why don't you go now? I got time." I need more time. So halfway through that segment, upper lip sweat started, then forehead sweat, and full on sprint to that one because my card doesn't work down there for some reason. Said somebody got death threats here.
Well, that's the dangerous one down there. That's why that one's locked and this one isn't, because that's the one.
That's where they hide.
That's where they hide. That's the hider toilet. All right. Thank you, Zoe. That